evening, everybody. It's Jessica Jones. I'm the Cryptid Huntress, and I want to welcome you guys into a fantastic show tonight. Boy, you never know where we're going on these remote viewing shows. I was tasked with 2 coordinate remote viewing targets, and I couldn't figure out why I was so daggone tired and drained after both of these, and I knew that it was something big. Okay, I knew that they were something very important. I'm going to go out on a limb and say that this might be one of the most important remote viewing shows that Barry Littleton and I have done so far. And yes, we did the mall aliens one together. Okay, that was important, right? But this is actually something that pertains to the lives of all of us, especially living here in the United States. I have had terrible anxiety all day. I'm not going to lie, I don't get anxiety like this, but there's something, I don't know if it's because this is such a big ordeal. This is a big deal. The targets were the origins or where and why these people are going missing in these national parks and the clusters that David Paulides has documented in his series, Missing 411. And he's written a series of books on this. I have read the North American edition that he has, and it's something that I have not covered before. Let's just say I do remote view missing persons cases when they are tasked to me by the head of my team and by people who I trust to task me with targets. Okay. Barry Littleton did task me with 2 targets. Okay. And like I said, one of them is the missing people. They both pertain to the missing people. The second target deals with the mysterious water deaths. Okay. So, no, I've got a little bit of anxiety over this one. Okay. And there's a reason that I can't remote view every single missing person, you guys. It takes a lot out of me. But we did remote view what's behind all of these. Okay, and we have some very important data. I love my life. I love my life. Barry loves his life. We are not ever going to hurt ourselves, y'all. Okay, so just know that this is potentially a little dangerous, what we're doing tonight. I'm just going to put it out there. So please put some extra protection around both Barry and I and our audience tonight, because we do have a lot of very important information. Okay, that we're going to go over. Now, I usually do not cover all of the data. I save a lot of this for my Patreon, just the stuff. Like I go over the important parts of my data, and my Patreon members, shout out to you guys, get all of the actual blind remote viewing data here on my charts. Okay, well, I'm not going to censor this tonight. Okay, we're not censoring. I have 5 separate sessions that we're going to go over tonight with this. It's going to get very in depth, and you know, it's a lot. It's a lot, and it's not going to be easy to talk about either. Okay, so just buckle up. Okay, get settled in, because we have a lot to discuss tonight, and it's going to be a wild ride. Okay, so yeah, I love you guys. Thank y'all so much for being here. Shout out to all my Patreon members. If you guys would like to join my Patreon, all of the data is posted in my Patreon. There's a lot. So you can join my Patreon. That is the Cryptid Huntress on Patreon. Okay, that's where you find the link right there. If somebody wants to put, one of my mods wants to put it in the chat, that would be great. And so y'all can join my Patreon. It's a great way to support my channel and all the work that I'm doing. It's amazing. Okay, also, all of my shows are posted on my website. Now, this is interesting because there was a glitch today, a big glitch. I don't know why. When you log into my channel or my website, this show tonight, the picture is showing the wrong thumbnail. And it will not, for any whatever reason, it will not show my thumbnail for the show tonight. It's showing an old werewolf video that we made, and I can't fix it. It won't go. I don't know. It's like it's a glitch, y'all. It's a glitch. But when you click on it, it is the right show. So y'all just go check that out. If you want to find my show on my website, it's there. Okay, but it's under the Werewolf of Ohio picture for some reason, and that's not me. It's my I don't know who did that, but it's not me. I can't fix it. Okay, so. Okay, let's see what else we got. Yeah, Patreon. If you'd also like to support what I'm doing, I'd also have my shop that's called War Woman Goods. I send out some Cryptid Huntress merch with each purchase. So y'all go check that out over on Etsy. Okay. All right. Well, let's get into the show because there's so much to discuss. And I am going to read the intro. And I am going to quote from David Paulides' book, okay, for the intro. People of all ages have been disappearing from national parks and forests at an alarming rate, all under similar circumstances. Victims' families are left without closure, and the Park Service refuses to follow up or keep any sort of national list and or database of the missing people. Thousands of missing people. Researcher and author David Paulides devoted 6 years to investigating missing people in rural areas, resulting in the identification of 52 geographical clusters of missing people in North America. Now, where are these people going? It's a hot topic. It's up for debate. Much like myself, David Paulides was a Bigfoot field researcher as well. And it's really interesting because a lot of us field researchers, this is something that we really worry about. We really do have to worry about, especially with my team encountering a portal. I see David Pardue in here, okay, who actually was there, who spotted the portal. He's in the chat right now. We have to worry about this stuff when we're going missing. And I'm a mom. I have a kid who I take to national parks sometimes. So we deserve to know the truth, okay? And in remote viewing, my data, it's not, I'm not saying it's the end all be all. But this was a blind target, and I think we're going to have some answers tonight. So to help me discuss this, I have Barry Littleton here in the studio. Barry is a longtime researcher and has an amazing YouTube channel and a Patreon. He's kind of my sidekick. And so he's the one who tasked me with these 2 targets. He told me they were going to be big ones after I did them. And I think they are. So please help me welcome to the show, my friend, Barry Littleton. Hey, Barry. What is that?
Oh, to me. Oh. That's what, yeah. This is, I decided to bring a little levity to it because I know how you've been kind of stressed out about this. So that's why I didn't just immediately give you this target, and I kind of let it build a little for a few weeks. I told you I got a big one that I was going to give you, and that's why. Hello to everybody in the audience too, and it's a pleasure to do this. I think it's real important. It's an important topic, and something honestly that no one's done before. No one has remote viewed this before. I looked, and so this is a first, and you went real deep with it, and I think it's going to be really a lot of things we can draw together here from several different aspects. So that's it'll be good, and I think it's cool how you're going to go over all the data bit by bit. That'll really be cool for everybody, and I might every now and again say something, but I really want to make sure all the data gets out. So.
Okay, wonderful. Susan Kano, thank you for becoming a member of my channel. You guys can become channel members too. Just click that join button at the front of my page. Okay, so I am going to go through some of these comments tonight. I'm going to be really busy talking, so if I don't get to your comments, y'all please don't be upset. I'm so sorry. We have a lot to unpack tonight, and so I'm going to try my best. I just want to say hey to everybody, okay, and thanks to my moderators and to everybody who's here tonight. Okay.
Got a really great group out there. I bet this is going to be an interesting chat, man. Wow, this is cool.
It is. Okay, so I actually spent the afternoon watching the David Paulides Missing 411, the UFO Connection movie. I watched it, Barry.
You did it? Okay, right on.
And I did. I finally watched it, and there are a lot of interesting correlations that a lot of these eyewitnesses and experiencers have had that my team has had. Okay, I wish I had seen this movie a lot earlier. Okay, I wish I had, including the Cube. Okay, like the Cube UFO spacecraft that gentleman was taken in and whisked off to another off-world somewhere, he said, with the elk inside of it. There are like 5 elks. Okay.
And the humanoid that came out of it, that as the way he described, I think he called him, was it ozone? But he looked remarkably, if you watch Star Trek, what they call an Andorian with the antenna. Anyway, so sorry, go ahead.
Oh, yeah. Interesting. Yeah, it had antenna on it. It did. It looked like Marvin the Martian or something, but like, adult human size. which because that's like your typical Marvin Martian kind of like that's not how we see them now. That was back in the 1970s when that gentleman had that encounter. Today we don't see a whole lot of ETs, or we don't hear about them having the little antenna on top of their heads. Barry, why is that?
Beats me. You know what I mean? There's all just I quit trying to classify things because we have so many different beings from so many different areas that now it's unreal. And you got some of them that are interdimensional, multidimensional. It's like all bets are off. And all we have is the things that we hear so much in the media, and that all those classifications don't really work a lot of times. Not when you look at the size of the universe and the type of technology and the way some of them are getting here. And you hear what that gentleman said on there. He asked them, they're just chatting up. He said, "Do you come here a lot?" He said, "Oh, yeah, we drop down here for food."
Yeah, for food. This is an interesting comment. Johnny Side says, David Paulides says no one has been able to remote view this, I guess. So, well, we may be proving that wrong tonight. I don't know. I'm just saying, because we've got some really interesting data. These are blind targets, y'all. Okay, so I'm given a set of numbers, and that's all I have. Okay, so what did you think, Barry? Oh, in all, overall, what did you think? Do you think that I hit the targets with these? First of all, tell the audience exactly what the targets are, and then give your opinion on if I hit the target.
Okay, the first target was actually the origin of the clusters of the missing people. And we all that are familiar with his work know that they occur in these clusters, and I provided a map that there was, and the cluster map. And so that was actually the origin of that is what we're wanting. Not just, the origin, what is causing those clusters, period, the origin of it. The second target was the water deaths. And so there would be a correlation there. There you go. And I'll tell you, some of the things that come out in the data that we'll talk about is very interesting when you start looking at this and comparing also some of those dumb underground bases. It's fascinating the stuff that comes out of this,
Oh yeah.
And now you see why I want to combine that movie with this too. It was important that I'm glad you saw that. So, but anyway, excuse me. The second target is the water deaths. And one of the reasons specifically I wanted to go over that one is because those deaths are the people that when they did some chemical analysis on some of those bodies, and those people had like 50 times or 25, 30 times the amount of GHB in their bodies that you could get from like a date rape deal. And so ultimately they were dumped in the water and they drowned, and that's why they died. They might have probably alive when they're put in the water, but they couldn't swim. They're in that type of situation and they died in that way. And where is it you get when you disappear in front of other people almost in the middle of these national parks that you and your group like to go to and journey through? Where is it? Obviously, don't be the last person in the line when you're traveling in a group and going through these trails, right? You know what Paulides says? Don't be the last person there to disappear, right?
Well, in my case, we usually put the most. I don't want to say. Let's just say protective person in the very back. It's just like with the wolf pack. Usually the fiercest of the pack is going to be in the back to protect everybody else. Okay, and that's how it works. That's not only in the animal kingdom, but it should be in our kingdom as well here. Okay, so yeah, that I would never let my son walk anywhere but in between me and whoever. Either I'm in the back or I'm in the front. Okay, but if I have my kid out there, we're never out there just me and him by ourselves at night. Okay, in places like that, or I've always got my dog with me too, which is good. But when we're out there with where there's any kind of activity going down, we put the people who are not as well prepared, let's just say, in the middle, and one of us that is prepared. I don't know what I can't say all this on YouTube, but whoever is prepared and is going to protect the group, we're getting on the front and the back. Okay, because we are fully aware of people just disappearing and stuff like that. Okay, and it's something that we do have to worry about. We do worry about this stuff.
Hey, can you bring that map back up real quick? I want to point something out.
Yes.
I'm noticing chat, not sure it was, somebody mentioned about there being missing people around the boulders. Specifically, it's granite. And if you look at like the books like Kaleidoscope of Crystals and books like that, what they say about the properties of granite is very interesting. So a lot of times these boulders that they were describing there, talking about, are this is granite. But what I want everyone to notice is that in the middle strip there, in the Midwest, including one of the states that I come from, there are no clusters at all there. And they say, Paulides says that that's due to, he believes, of something that's called the Ogallala aquifer that runs through all these states. And that has a reason why that there's no missing clusters there. So I think that's very Ogallala, Ogallala. Anyway,
can I make a quick point though? So I have another map to compare. I have a lot of different maps to show the audience tonight. I want to show the audience a map of the density of where the population, where people live, because I think this also could have something to do with it. Is why there's not a lot of missing clusters there, is because there's no one living down that strip right there. Okay, there's not a whole lot of people there.
Oh man, I gotta dispute that one there, man. I'm looking at my area in a decent sized city. Come on, no, that's no good. I gotta put that one down.
That's the population map. I'm just saying.
It's like Smallville. Yeah. It's a Smallville all the way through the Midwest. Every now and again, you see a grain silo and maybe a barn every now and again, and just fields of wheat and corn. Yeah, come on.
You might live in a metropolis out there. I don't know, but I mean, I live near Atlanta, and I lived in Atlanta for a long time. So I know that's actually a pretty big city, compared to a lot of the rural areas. But a lot of these people are going missing. Okay, these are national parks. National parks are vast. They are hundreds, thousands of miles. Like it's rural. Okay, I hate that. I can't say that word very well. Rural. and so they're not downtown in the cities, like in Atlanta and LA and Chicago and New York and all that kind of stuff, like New York City and stuff. It's in the middle of nowhere. Okay, it's in the mountains. It's in the desert. It's in the Grand Canyon. Okay, stuff like that. So there's not going to be a whole lot of people, but people go there to go hunt. They go on vacation. They go to get out in the wilderness. They go to get away. There's a lot of people that go missing every year. And I'm sorry, I don't mean to interrupt, because you were telling the audience about the targets. Okay, so we can get in this conversation later. So you were going over the first target, right? Did you finish telling the audience about what the first target was?
Yeah. I just want everybody to know about that Ogallala aquifer thing and how that's missing in the middle there. That's all. Everything else. But that's the reason why I chose the second, especially about the GHB things. And it's just interesting things with that, and that ties into something else that people can look up. I gave you a picture of it. Just things that we should be aware of, which is the Manchester Canal murders. People getting thrown in the water there. There's like 76 of them. There you go. Right on. There you go. Yeah, that's just something to be aware of. They thought that maybe it was a serial killer, possibly, but some things didn't seem to measure out. It's just very odd. Just more water deaths. Maybe not the ones you remote viewed, but just something I think for the audience and everyone to be aware of. Something to look up. Okay.
Interesting water deaths. Okay, a lot of that's really interesting. But the David Paulides series, the deaths that he looked at, not deaths, the disappearances that he looked into, all have some commonalities to them too, right, Barry?
Yeah.
You want to go over those, or do you want me to?
Well, go ahead. I'll let you kick out the data whenever you want, because there's a lot of data, and I think it's really important. So we can, chat in between, but go for it. And I think it's important.
Okay. Well, let me just go over like several things, because you mentioned like you don't want to be walking in the back of your group, like if you're walking down a trail or something. Here's some of the commonalities, okay, of some of the distinct patterns of some of these missing people out of the national parks. Canines, when the canines and the search and rescue teams are sent out, the canines cannot pick up the scent trail. Okay, trackers cannot track these missing people. Like the track just ends. Like they can track them for a little while, and then the tracking ends abruptly. Now the weather, right as they disappear, changes. Okay, this is a pattern. It's like the weather goes from being nice and sunshiny to just all of a sudden the sky's opening up. and it be like rainy or a storm or something. Tornadoes come through. I don't know. But bad weather happens either right when they appear, right after they appear, or during the search. Okay, it gets really rough. Now, also the victims are often, if they're found, people who go missing, they're usually found way later, but it's in places that had been previously searched about at least 5 to 7 times over and over again. Okay, so really odd. Their bodies would show up either alive or deceased after the search and rescue crews have searched that area over and over again. And they also go missing near water sources, and that's water, swamps, bogs, creeks, lakes, ocean, whatever, mostly creeks and lakes and stuff, and near boulders. Okay, boulders. So got to take that into consideration because there's some interesting data, I think, that might involve this.
Granite.
Yeah.
Something else is that worth mentioning is how many oftentimes it's just like a pair of boots and calcium deposits and femurs like that found with the boots. The shoes are often found and not all the bodies. It's very bizarre, Anyway.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Let's see. All right. Okay. So I guess let's just get into the data if you'd like. Okay. Because the first target was just what's behind the missing people, the missing 411 clusters. And I'm not going to censor anything. I'm going to go through every bit of this data today. If you want to actually see the data, it's in my Patreon. Please become a member of my Patreon. It's a great way to support my channel and all this work that I'm doing over here. And thanks to Barry too. So thank you, Barry, for giving me the targets. Okay, awesome. Okay, well, let's do this.
Everybody's safety is involved in this one, so it's important.
It is. Let's just put it all out there. Okay. All right. So for some of my sensory data that came through with this target, okay, so the sensory data I have, and I did this one, I think I'm going to say, this was like a week ago. Okay, you gave me this about a week ago. And so the first bit of data, long, linear, tubular, oblong, feisty, furry, I said furry, blinking, indented, high ground. Okay, that was some of my sensory data. Okay, now my analytic overlay, this is like me interpreting what I'm seeing. Okay, it's my interpretation. I wrote, and this may not make sense, y'all. Okay, this is how remote viewing works. It doesn't really make sense, a lot of it. And some of it doesn't even matter. Okay, but there could be something in the data for, you guys can make sense of that I can't. Okay, so I wrote McFlurry, which is like I know that's weird, but it's it's like the first bit of data is so silly. Okay, so McFlurry. Okay, well, I was hungry that day, probably. Okay, so I wrote well, wholesale, water, underwater, submarine, tested, embrace, trace elements, rocks, indentations, petroglyphs, highly malleable, highly flammable, disc, and recorded. Okay, that was my stage 1, stage 2, and my stage 3 data is a drawing, which is basically just a bunch of circles. Okay, kind of looks like a portal or something. It's a disc. Okay, it could be a spacecraft. Because I wrote disc, and then I started seeing what looked like it looked kind of like a spacecraft, and so that's what I started writing. Okay, so that's my first 3 stages.
Let me throw one thing in. I'm trying really not to interrupt, but with the joke aside, with the McFlurry thing, I've been aboard a craft that when I was sent back, it looked like these like the little. You remember those super balls that kind of look like Jupiter and Venus? It looked like a bunch of those in this room. Okay, started like moving around, and I came. And I've heard other contactees describe it as more looking like a type of a sawdust.
Okay.
And it's like that. So I think maybe when you're dealing with type of a transport or stasis fields, that might be what you're describing there. So I just want to throw that in there. And,
Okay.
and I'm very
Very
interested
cool.
in the stasis fields, as you know, so.
Yeah. Okay. Let's see. Okay. So I'm going to leave some of these comments up here and while I talk. Okay. So here we go. So stage 4. This is more sensory data, more analytic overlay. Okay. And so this is like what I'm sensing, and this is how I'm interpreting it. Okay. So what I'm sensing, I've got, something that was in between. And I wrote, before that, I wrote records office and on file. Okay. God, how on target is that? Records office and on file. Okay, because we're talking about, I didn't know what this target was, okay, but we're talking about how David Paulides really had to pull some teeth to get this missing persons data, and there were no records to it, allegedly, at first. They didn't keep records, but he found that there were records of it. So I wrote, okay, so records office on file, something in between, so I was picking up on like middle, caught, stuck, wedged between, I wrote, something hard, wedged between something hard. And I wrote down hard surface, rocks. I was picking up on a rocks, something deep and caught. So people were getting wedged and caught deep within the rocks. Okay, something within the rocks. And I wrote caught up. And then I wrote revolt and revolution, cliff and a ledge. Ledge, Ledge. Okay, so I'm very clearly on a ledge in nature. Okay, obviously is what I felt like I would, but people, so I was feeling like something was caught. There was a ledge. People were caught up, but it was deep. Okay, deep. Next page. Okay, so I wrote down pack, depends, tuned, tuning fork. And then I wrote, that was my sensory data went into something that was fighting. So fighting, off balance. I heard clairaudiently out of whack, sidereal, clock, timetable, clock, something was solid. I wrote time machine, fortress. I wrote down fortress, Fort Knox, and locked in. Fort Knox and locked in. Okay, so that was really interesting. And I remember you asked me, because I did this target, this session, and then I did a session with the other target, pretty much one after the other. And you asked me, you said, what do you think this is? And I said, well, I don't know. It's something that it's being heavily guarded, like Fort Knox. And I think it's underground or in some sort of system, like maybe something underground, because I went to the second target too. And I know we haven't covered that one yet. But I was telling you, I thought this was something like, I thought maybe I was remote viewing something like under the Vatican or the Smithsonian, is what I felt like, because it was heavily guarded that nobody could get into it. And and there might have been people caught up in it, caught up down there. So what did you think about that, Barry? Or do you want me to move on to the next session?
You're still on target 1 for the next session, right?
Yeah, I'm still on target 1. I've got three sessions for that target.
I'll tell you what, go ahead and move on to the next one. But the thing's already sticking out to me the most. You know, your first answer when I asked you that was, whatever this is such a secure place. It's very secure and secure, and like security type of thing. You kept saying that, you know, so that struck me. And then immediately you said underground.
Yep.
And at that point, it could go one of two ways, because we've got 2 components, but we'll talk about that as we go through everything. So.
Ooh, interesting. Okay, Jody says Skinwalker Ranch played tones and shot it towards a petroglyph and thought it was a site for a portal. Okay, well, that's interesting. That might have something to do with what we're talking about tonight too. So, okay, so let's go to the second session. This is the same target, second session. Okay, so on this one, some of my sensory data was bending, ticking, sliding, angular, attacked. So attack has come up twice now. Okay, attack, attached, ringing, hurried, down, and dropped. So I am continuously getting downward. Dropped. Yes.
Yeah, dropped.
I'm continuously.
Ledges on the other ones, and then dropped. Yes. Sorry, just saying.
Yes.
Sorry, you were saying something. Go ahead. Sorry.
Yes. So I am continually getting on both these targets. I've gotten like something that's going in a downward motion, something that's going down, and getting dropped and being attacked. So attacked and dropped and going down, downward, underground. Okay, that's what I'm getting. Or into the ground. Okay. So for my analytic overlay, so I've got a time bender, quantum leap, quantum jump, sliding reality, osmosis, karmic debt. I heard the words karmic debt is what I heard. And then I wrote down whisper, alarmed, Tahoe. Okay, Tahoe. I was actually just in Nevada and went to the Reno Tahoe airport. Okay, so Tahoe, Nevada, basically, or Tahoe.
No. Stop. Now you brought up Tahoe. You want to bring up that map again?
Yes.
Now,
the main map.
Yeah, of course, I'm not a geographic expert, but isn't that where one of those big clusters is right there?
Yeah, one of the biggest. Yeah, it is actually.
Yeah, and again, you had no idea what you're looking at there. So sorry, I just thought it's important everybody know that.
Okay, interesting. So Tahoe, I wrote fibers, followers, fighters, because I kept getting fighting data. Like somebody was fighting. Okay, followers, fighting, fighters, drop down. I literally wrote the words drop down, dropped, D-R-O-P-P-E-D, dropped down, medicine, time machine. Again, I think I've written time machine twice now or something. Okay, so time machine, and then what I was experiencing as doing this, I was experiencing very loud ear ringing while I was doing this, very loud, and my ears don't ring as much as they used to, y'all. Okay, so I was getting very loud ear ringing, and then I wrote. So my stationary drawing is that, which looks like a cube or something, and possibly going down some steps. I don't know what that is, but that's my drawing. Okay, so y'all can pause the video and go back and look at that. I don't know what that is, but that was my drawing. Okay, so let's go to stage 4 here. Okay, so I'm picking up on something strange. Okay, strange. And I wrote stranger danger. Okay, now I teach my kid about stranger danger. You know why? So he doesn't get kidnapped. I'm just saying that's why that's stranger danger, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so that's in y'all. This is still the blind target.
These
are all blind targets. So stranger danger, which in my when I'm interpreting this data, that's kidnapping. Okay, I wrote collective consciousness, and then I picked up on floating, and then I heard the word surmount, and I forgot to look up the exact meaning of what surmount is, but surmount I wrote down, and then I wrote down a very interesting word, Barry, cluster.
That stuck out to me like boom.
I literally wrote the word cluster, you guys. Okay, and as soon as I wrote cluster, my sensory data was dark and deep. And then I got more downward motion, and I literally wrote downward motion. Okay. So that was the second session that I did for that target. So I actually wrote the word cluster, something dark and deep, going downward in another spiral, basically. And go ahead.
No, I'm just gonna say, I'm sure, just tying up so we keep going forward, but whole thing, anyone that watched that show with Paulides, is he talks a lot about UFO 411 UFO connection. They talked a lot about how this individual that saw the cube said that when the people brought him back, they dropped him and dropped him off really hard. And now Paulides seemed to be known for saying that, but he's, trust me, not the first person to talk about this, to how people get dropped like cows are getting dropped after abduction. And you picked up cliffs, a lot of them getting dropped off cliffs and things they shouldn't be found. That's one of the things that's come up a lot. So I think it's good how you just nailed right on that. And the word, when I was watching all the data, certain words like osmosis really stood out to me. And another one would be, gosh, what does he got on there? Never mind now. Well, clusters and osmosis are two of them, but I mean,
and Tahoe is interesting too, right?
Oh yeah,
Tahoe.
quantum leap and quantum stuff.
Yeah. Oh yeah, quantum leap. Yeah.
And you're describing a transport system that is delivering somebody to something underground.
Oh yeah, a lot of underground data, y'all. Okay, Barry, a lot of underground data here. And so let's go ahead and hit on the last session that I did, because there were 3 sessions with this, and this is pretty telling as well. Okay, and thank you, John and Coco. Surmount means to overcome, come out on top. Interesting, because that was during like all the attack data that I was getting to. So I'm just overcoming something. Okay, very interesting. So yeah, thank y'all so much. Okay, so let's go. This is the 3rd and final session of this target. Okay, so same target. Where are these missing people going? What's going on here? So my sensory data in the very beginning was frolic, buoyant, studying, metallic, large, secret, noisy, and rumbling. Okay, I heard the name Walter. Okay, I heard the name Walter when I first started, but I wrote float, scientists, like multiple scientists, experiment, case study, team, teamwork, large operation, black budget, black project, high pitch, sound distortion, sound frequency, sound waves. Oh my God, I'm getting dizzy right now talking about this. Dark matter, ruin, and ruins. Okay, so that was my AOL for this 3rd one, but I'm not done. There's more. Okay, and for my picture, it's like another circle with another circle, and like stuff is almost like sound frequency, or like maybe it's like a portal. I don't know. Or you could turn it upside down and it could be a.
You said before sound frequency on there. You said sound frequency, and what was
sound wave?
Sound wave. There's something else too you said there that I just lost it though. I didn't write it down. It was important though. I'm sorry.
Okay. All right, and then so stage 4, second part. I wrote down shattered and fragmented reality, augmented reality, because I wrote down augmented, something was augmented, and I wrote down simulation technology. I wrote stuck, can't move, and held down. And then I got erased, and then I wrote down memory wipe, taken away, taken out, and die. And then I ended the session because it was getting kind of dark. So I just ended it. So that's a lot right there, Barry. That's a lot.
No, I know. Going back to the last one, okay, the last one, you mentioned the word Walter, and then you started describing scientists and all this scientific. I think maybe you're referring to Walter Russell, who was somebody who had something to do with the anti-gravity, gravity modification, worked with Ralph Ring, I do believe. And they're dealing with all that. They're the ones that had the if you look up the patent up for it, it was inflationary vacuum state space vehicle, I believe. And it was a patent they got. And now suddenly some of their names have been taken off there as the founders or the people that submitted it. There are other names on there now. It's very fascinating because that was tied back to Walter Russell and Ralph Ring. So maybe that's what you're referring to there, that a connection to some of that technology they were using that was getting even becoming dark project stuff. And just so anybody doesn't know, that's the one where they, and that patent, you can actually see the 2 gentlemen sitting on this thing. And they say that, I think it was, maybe it was Ring that said he used it. Otis Carr was another one. Maybe he had used it, and that he thought he went nowhere, but when he gets back, when he's done, there's all these daisies in there. He was in this field picking daisies and then couldn't remember it. So they were all tripped out saying that, there was a time jump with it and there was a hyperspace deal going on. They never use it again. So that was Otis Carr, Ralph Ring, and Walter Russell. That's just what comes to my mind when you said that. So I just want to throw that out there.
Well, it could definitely have a connection because you're the one that tasked me with this. So whatever kind of data that's coming through, I would suspect that it would jar you. You would know what it is. Okay, and I want to say jar your memory. I don't know if that's the right word. Okay.
Slap
But
me around. Well,
yeah,
I get more than I bite when I bite off more than I can chew on a lot of these targets. So it is what it is.
yeah, oh, yeah, yeah. Because yeah, it's, I mean, to me, okay, so going through that first target, Barry, let's analyze this a little bit more, okay? Because before we go into the next one,
Cool.
okay, from this target, like I know you asked me right after I get done with these targets, you asked, oh, my dog's howling. That's so weird. My dog's taking a nap and she just started howling in her sleep. Okay, so I don't know if y'all can hear that. So you asked me after I finish each session, what do I think it is, and I have my opinion as to what I think this is. Okay, I think what's happening. Now that I know what the target is, because you don't tell me what it is ever until I've done these sessions over and over again. Okay. And I said, I think that it is people being taken, or there's something where they have a heavily guarded facility underground where I thought it was either the Vatican or the Smithsonian, where you can't get past it. You can't, it is so heavily guarded you can't get past it. I'm going to wait and give my final, you know, commentary after we finish the other two targets, okay, as to what I think this is the whole, okay. But I think that people are being taken. I'm going to say kidnapped, okay, kidnapped. When I analyze the data before knowing what the target was, I think it's people being kidnapped, taken to an underground facility, and being used and experimented on. Okay, that's what I think. Do I know who is taking them exactly? No. Do I know if they're aliens or humans or what? I think it's humans. Okay. I think it's humans personally. What do you think?
Well, I asked you that over and over again, and I'm
Yeah.
drilling because you didn't know what it was yet. I said, what kind of, and you said, you gave me two answers. You said humanoid, and then you said inhumanoid. That's what you had said.
Yep.
And I was like, what type of inhumanoids? And you didn't go into detail.
Yeah.
And I don't know, maybe I should just throw this in here now. Okay, we're dealing. Maybe I shouldn't till late target, but there's a reason. Anybody that watched Missing 411, they would notice a couple of things that came up. Not just the cube-shaped craft with the Andorian in it or whatever, but
Yeah.
also you had the workers, the construction workers that saw what sounded more like a drone actually carrying off a cow, and it
It was
hit
an
hit a
elk.
tree and then had to go around. All right,
It
and he
was an elk.
described it having, I think, it was a blue light and a red light on the top, and it was only like they think it was 5 by 7 feet, and so
Mhm.
small to pick up a calf that size. They were saying. Okay, so that there is indicating somebody's artificial intelligence, some type of drone robotic deal right there. Okay, um, kind of what they call on Terminator. They called, I think the first Terminator, Reese called them hunter killers. They use infrared. Anyway, um, the next would be the oh gosh, the triangles. Okay, the triangles that people reported and that they're being taken. They thought that the guy interrupted somebody being abducted by one of these triangles, and he had a couple people in there talking, and that sounds like the TR3B, which is that, and that's something. I'm from I'm from the the capital, air capital of the world, and we heard about these before they're actually seen around. We heard about these new things that had almost potentially some type of gravity lift on them, like levitation capabilities more than most planes, these triangles. So everybody was trying to look to see if they could see one in the sky. That's the TR3B, okay? And
Okay.
interestingly enough, how often that is seen with around now, this is what I want to go into detail. Well, I think this is important, all right? So then we'll go to the second target, but I might as well squeeze
Okay.
this in. I'm a regressionist, and I do quite a few of them. And I did a regression from somebody from actually my state. Okay. And this was one of those in person ones, which are always very interesting. And one of the experiences that they wound up having is that when they were let me get this right, the Girl Scouts, the Brownie Scouts, whatever, but they were on a camping trip and they were half asleep and they see this craft come up. And this is somebody not into like the UFO thing and this type of stuff. All right. When this comes up in regressions, it's always fascinating. They describe this as a triangle vehicle with red lights on, similar to that, and then feeling sleep paralysis and being levitated into this craft with like their entire brownie troop. They all were there, and there were other people there that were campers, and they described there being type of beings that are similar to what I think Earth files, and how they would call them Ebens, more that higher level of gray type with these military people. And they were working in conjunction, and they described their entire brownie troop thing being, including the director, whoever, the troop leader, being actually still standing up, being like asleep and being paralyzed and sleep paralysis, and they're being experimented on. Some of them are being put on tables, and there's all these experiments going on. And they described this happening with this, and then them still being partially awake when this happened because they weren't fully asleep, but everybody else seemed to be out. I mean, when stuff like this comes up, it's relevant. And that ties into exactly what this is here. That's why I wanted to bring that up. And this regression I did long time before that video came out on Paulides. So for me, I sit there flabbergasted a lot of times when I'm, Anyway, sorry, let's go forward.
Okay. Well, Corey Cole says the patent for the TR3B is on Google Patents. So that's interesting. Yeah. Okay. Okay. So this is actually, if people have been following my shows from the beginning, okay, from especially the remote viewing shows. One of my very first remote viewing target for a show was the Dyatlov Pass incident. Okay, that was a long time ago, so I don't expect all y'all to have watched that. Okay, I didn't have as many subscribers as I do now, but I did this show. If you go back in my archives, you guys, and check that out. For that target, I picked up. Okay, so for anyone who's not familiar, this is some Russian hikers back in the 1940s, I think, or 50s. I can't remember. They went hiking somewhere in Russia, Soviet Russia. Okay, and it was in the Ural Mountains. And it was a class, like a college class. They were supposed to be on like a 2-week trip. They didn't hit their checkpoints at some point. Okay, they quit hitting their checkpoints. A search team was sent out to go find them, and they found their tent was slashed open. All 9 of them were found deceased. Okay, they were all found deceased, and some of them didn't have on their clothes. Some of them had on mixed matched clothes and that didn't belong to them. 4 of them did not get found for like 2 months later until the ice thawed, and their bodies were found like a mile into the forest or something like that. And they had mutilations, like cow mutilations on their body, but human mutilations. Okay, and one of the women, the woman that was there, her tongue had been removed. Okay, and their faces were all cut up. And here's the thing, Barry, it was as though their bodies had been dropped from a high level, and like they had sustained, like they had been in a car accident. Okay, they had trauma to their bodies, like they had been dropped from a bunch of feet in the air, or they had a head-on collision, but their bodies were right there. So in that data, I actually was picking up on a collaboration between the Russian military, because I wrote down commandant, okay, that was part of my data, and ETs. Okay, so ETs, and what we're saying right now, what we're talking about lines up with the Dyatlov Pass incident, which happened a long time ago. Okay, but what I concluded from that data was that the Russian military was working with the ETs. Now, this was around the same time. It's alleged that like Eisenhower was making a deal with the ETs to abduct us or something. I don't know. It was around that same exact time frame. So everything that Russia does, America does, Russia does, but especially back then. And so I believe that that's how those people met their demise. They had stumbled off path, and it was in some kind of area that the ETs were patrolling. Apparently, maybe it was an entrance to inner Earth. Just saying. But anyways, that's not what we're talking about tonight. But
wasn't that blamed on Sasquatch though?
Yes.
That was I got one picture. That's what happened. Yeah,
yep. It was a Russian Yeti, they said, but I don't believe that at all. Now, there could have been a creature there. Yeah, I mean, there were ETs there. There could have been some sort of a strange cryptid there. I don't believe it was a Yeti. But something, I think that's connected kind of to this. Okay, I think it's similar to some of these cases, and it's important that we make these connections. I'm just saying.
Agreed.
Okay,
Agreed.
so.
And the fact that the clusters are under, if you look at that DUMS map, a lot of those are correlating with the clusters. You suppose an underground basis. And you've been saying that, when this was a blind target, you were talking about underground stuff and people being taken underground. So it's no coincidence that you have the clusters over some of these same places that we have these supposed DUMS, Well,
and not only that, we have some of the largest military bases in the world are located where some of those clusters are. In addition to, let's just go over these maps while I got them.
We should have put the Bigfoot map on there too. I wonder, sighting map, and how much that correlates too.
Oh, I've got it. Here we go. This is the Bigfoot map right here. Okay, and this is by years. Okay, I can't. My eyes are not good. I can't see those years down there at the bottom, but those are some of the years. I have to look on my television, but
the blue one at the end is 2000 to 2019.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's a progression of the Bigfoot sightings. Okay, so there's that. Here's another. This is another one of. These are either Bigfoot sightings or UFO sightings. Let me see. Here and here we can't forget the cave systems as well. Okay, so I have. This is a map of our cave systems in the United States, which is always very important to correlate with the other maps. Okay, the cave systems. Now, this is the cave systems in relation to the federally owned lands. Okay, the federal lands are in the turquoise, and I guess the lands that have caves on them are in the bright red, and then the areas, I don't know. That's where the caves are. I don't know what karst is, y'all. I'm not exactly sure what karst is. I forgot to look that up before the show today. Okay, but and here we have, this is the cave systems in relation to the missing persons map. Okay, it's very similar if you ask me. Now we also have this map. Wow. This is underground. This is alleged. Okay, this is just a map I found. It says U.S. Inner Earth Access Map. Now, I don't know the validity to this. Okay, I don't know for sure. But this was a map that I did find. Someone did put this together. It's got the main tunnel sites, reported entrances, known caverns. Take of that what you will. Okay, and now we have the deep underground. This is the alleged.
Yeah, that one there.
Deep underground military bases. Okay, so just take a good look at that, and then we have another map of alleged access points and tunnel systems of the deep underground military bases. I mean, that's pretty extensive, Barry. I mean, look at that.
And a lot of that ties into what Phil Snyder was saying. And you notice I've been hearing a lot how a lot of his interviews have kind of, in his lectures, have disappeared. I
wouldn't doubt it.
Yeah.
I wouldn't doubt it at all. Now here's another map of some underground facilities, and yeah, and then of course we have the UFO. Okay, so that one map that I wasn't sure if it was UFO map, that was a UFO map. And here we have, this is interesting because these are on the different, is that longitudinal? Parallel. I don't know if that's latitude or longitude. I think it's longitude. Okay. I know, right? But yes, I do have a college degree, y'all. I just don't remember these things sometimes. But those are UFO sightings right on, like they're on perfectly lined up with those parallels, which is interesting, right?
Yeah.
But then we have stuff like, we have these pictures that are allegedly leaked and stuff of ETs in the tunnels underground, and
I can't give no credit on that one there. That was pretty weak.
I know, right? But just to show, like, there's a whole other world underground. Okay, and there's a lot going on underground that we don't know about. Okay, that we're not supposed to be privy to as just everyday people. And
inside of mountains too. Another one, another blind target that I gave you was the inside of Sleeping Lady that's on the SETI Ranch, next to Mount Adams. Yeah. And you saw the city in there pretty much. the same thing that I had to be regressed for. I knew I had some sort of experience, and then but that that there is something there, and whatever that is there, like you have big brothers aware of it and they're monitoring it, but I don't think they can do much about it. Not when you're dealing with that type of technology. You know what I'm saying? Which is fascinating. I don't know how long that'll hold up, but that's present state.
Okay. I did have Tahoe listed on my data. Okay. Now I wanted to point out that Tahoe is right there. Let's see where Tahoe is. They're right beside Reno. Okay. Lake Tahoe is right below Reno. And here, okay, so our friend Brian saying he lives up at Winnemucca up there. That's not far from the Lovelock Caves. Okay, the Lovelock Caves where the red-haired giants were found, their skeletons and stuff. Now, Pyramid Lake, that's another thing that we've covered in remote viewing. Okay, that was cast to me as a target as well, and that's where they have the lake mermaids and the water babies. Okay, so a lot of high strangeness up there. And I did mention submarine. Okay, which sounds wild, right? Well, I had submarine in this data for where these missing people are going. Well, there is a submarine base that is alleged to go. I don't know if the submarines go between Reno or Lake Tahoe and Pyramid Lake, but they might. There's a submarine base right there. Why would there be a submarine base there in the middle of the desert? Barry, that's my question. Just saying. It's just all food for thought, though, right?
Yeah, we can call it that. It's definitely that.
Yeah.
Or we could say, a saying that my mother used to say, where there's smoke, there's fire.
Yes. Where there's water, there's submarines. Just saying, I know. But yeah, I mean, is this all connected? Yeah, probably. I mean, maybe some of the missing people are getting taken on submarines. I mean, I've heard about submarines out in the. We're not going there, actually. Never mind. Let me stop. Okay.
Well, why stop there?
Like trafficking. Well,
that's like a juicy bite.
Well, because I don't want my channel shut down, first of all. Okay, and talking about like trafficking and stuff like that. So I need to be really careful about what we're already going out on a limb. Let's not push it, okay, to where it's going to cause my channel to get shut down and stuff like that. Okay, so this is all for entertainment purposes only, educational purposes only. I don't know what I'm talking about, y'all. I have no clue. I'm just reading some crazy remote viewing data. Okay. All right, let's do it. You want to go to the second target?
Yeah, let's do it.
So we do it? Okay, because we're at the hour point. Might as well just go ahead and do the second one because we still have a lot to talk about. Okay. All right, so the second target, Barry, tell the audience exactly what the second target was or is.
Sorry. It was the water deaths. And he wrote another book that one of the books he wrote was called A Sobering Coincidence. And that was the water deaths.
Okay.
Yeah, and like I mentioned, is people were found in the bodies of water, and then some of them were found to have all that GHB in their body, and that indicates like where are they going immediately, and from a national forest like that to getting GHB, and that's a laboratory, it's something like that is going on, some sort of experiment. So I just thought that would be good to correlate that part too with just the thing, and they should go together. Just they're kind of one and the same. But I think it's just good to get that aspect of it too, in case there's any differences. And what is this laboratory? Where are they going? What's the origin of that? So that's what that target was.
Oh yeah, Bernard, that's an interesting comment. Naval small square buildings in the middle of nothing. All I think is they are stairwells downward of elevators. Oh my gosh, guess what? You're going to love my drawing that I made for this, okay? So the sketch that I made for this one is going to blow your mind, okay? So for the first session of this target, okay, I did both the first ones on like June, the 2nd, I guess. So just a few days ago. Some of my sensory data for this is tight, below, working, down, dropping, descent, perched, and hidden. Okay, so my analytic overlay, how I'm interpreting this, I wrote free space, elevator, drop levels, going down, underground, intertwined, multifaceted, multi-level, Overlook, Overwatch, Gargoyles, okay, Vatican Smithsonian. Okay, this is where I was feeling like I was going down, down, down below somewhere that was heavily guarded. Okay, and I wrote, after Vatican and Smithsonian, I wrote covered up, top secret, collection, and monitored. Okay, and then for my sketch, I drew, well, hold on, if I can get this in the camera. It looks like levels going down, staircases, either 2 staircases or an escalator or something, but something that was like going down, 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 down. Okay. But something that was, I was picking up like something so guarded that you can't get past it. Like you just can't, it's too guarded. Like gargoyles are watching it. Okay. Gargoyles. And that's why I was picking up on something like the Vatican or the Smithsonian. Okay. Heavily guarded.
You know, that would kind of tie into Dennis when he talks about some of the demons that are assigned to guard demon sanctuaries, demon ground, demon land, I guess, dark land. And that sounds a lot like that to me, doesn't it? Gargoyles?
Yes.
You know, that old movie Gargoyles with Bernie Casey? Yeah. Okay.
Okay, so then I wrote monitoring system. And I for my sensory data, I wrote watching, security detail, security, and I heard can't get past, and then I wrote down firewall, and then I wrote a deep, hollow, and vast, dark, dingy, old, and ancient, and then for my analytic overlay, I wrote vast caverns, hollow earth, tunnels, ancient artifacts, relics, and then I wrote totem, stone, carvings and artifacts, trophy, and glyphs. Okay, so I wrote that. Go to the last page here. And my page is out of order. And then I wrote, I was seeing Egyptian artifacts. Is what it looked like. I was looking at Egyptian artifacts. I wrote ancient Egyptian artifacts, otherworldly, ancient aliens, and then I wrote reverence. And then I was seeing like smoke and fog and dust, and I wrote down old hidden secrets, the occult knowledge, and then I wrote down something that was old and heavy, and then I kept picking up on guards, heavily guarded, tomb. I wrote down tomb, and then I wrote down royalty and priest and priestess. Okay, so and that was the end of that target, but that was like something heavily guarded. It was almost like an Egyptian pyramid or something very ancient that was it's full of like Egyptian, some kind of hieroglyphs or something that looked like Egyptian writing on it and stuff. But it had a lot to do with the occult and occult knowledge. Okay, but super heavily guarded. I told you after this one, I said, Barry, I think I was in the Vatican or under the Vatican or under the Smithsonian, because there were just so many like artifacts and relics and things that were held in like high regard, like revered, I guess you could say. Totems,
things that could be stargates.
Yeah, I guess it could be anything.
I think it's relative to mention too. On several of these, on this one and the other one, target, you've mentioned ancient sites, and perhaps some of these places with granite that these boulders people are disappearing is also connected to that. You know, they possibly ancient sites. We don't know. Earth's been around a long time, which are places these portals and all these things can happen. So I think that's just noteworthy to saying that. You know, things like Stonehenge and stuff like that, they're not all totally visible, perhaps, and some are long eroded. So I think that's worth, kind of thinking about. I noticed somebody mentioned the body produces GHB, I think. Very little, nothing like what was found in these bodies. This was like over 20 times you could get in a date rape situation at a club. Yeah. Where in the world would they get that much in their body, except for somewhere like what you're describing? So tell us, what do you think overall this is altogether in a nutshell? Tell us.
Okay. Well, I still have more data from another session. I didn't know. Yeah, you're gonna do the second session, and then I'll tell you everything. Okay.
I get too excited. My fault.
But wait, there's more. Okay, so this is the last session that we're gonna go over tonight. Okay, so for this one, this was 2 days later, I did this target again. Okay. And I wrote down, okay, for my sensory data, I got burning, surprised, finished, and spiraling, distracted, and hidden. So I wrote caught off guard, surprise, the end, completion, spiral, sacred geometry, distractions, ejected, rejected, bully, hidden treasure, successful and success, firmament, and glass ceiling. And for my sketch, I wrote what looks like a flat earth picture or something with like the firmament right there. Okay, so that's kind of like the vibe I was getting was almost like a flat earth kind of a chart.
Or a biodome.
Or a biodome, right.
Mm-hmm.
You can see that.
Wow.
So that was my sketch. And or it could be like a craft or something. I don't know. I don't know what that is. Okay.
Wow.
I know. And all right, here we go. I'm not going to analyze my data. I'm going to just say it. Okay. So I got curved. I was seeing an arch or an archway. I was hearing trajectory. I was picking up on a fluid of some sort and like air. I wrote universe, universal. So universe, universal, something that was open, deep. I took a deep dive, and then I heard council, like COUNCIL, and I wrote down council and COUNSEL, council. And then I heard red rock, like red rocks, I guess, like in Colorado. And then I wrote down the word dynamics. And then I ended it. Okay. Then that was the end of that session. So this is interesting, Barry, because I picked up on Tahoe and red rocks. Okay. And red rocks, for anybody who's not familiar, I think it's in Colorado, not too far from Denver, I would assume. I was just in Denver and in Tahoe, basically, when I went out to the Space Out Radio thing. Both of those things came up. And you know about the Denver airport, right, Barry? They say that I didn't see any kind of Illuminati symbolism and stuff when I was there. I was looking for it. Well, but they say that there's underground tunnels there.
According to Art Bell said he was under there at one point. It's all crazy under there. So yeah, Art Bell had some sort of experience under the Denver airport. And by the way, isn't there another big cluster there on that map? In that area you're talking about?
Let's take a look at it. Let's take a look. Oh yeah. Colorado. Close. I don't know. Is that Colorado right there with the two big red things? I don't know. My state's apparently. So yeah, it looks like it.
Yeah, Colorado Trail, it says there.
That's right. There's two big ones. Okay. Mm-hmm. So I mean, those are big
there you go again. Two amazing coincidences, is it not? And coincidence is often an excuse used by fools and liars. So, you know, neither which we are. So wow, so go ahead. I'm gonna let you sum it up again. That's
okay.
What you think? I mean, you might even be done yet, so I don't want to interrupt.
No, I'm done. Those are the two sessions I had with that one target. Okay, I do believe that there is something going on underground. Okay, all in all. Okay, if you want my total analysis of this, I think that people are being kidnapped. Okay, they're being taken against their will. I think that they are being taken down somewhere underground. They're being used for experiments. The data is saying that they are being experimented on and they are disposing of these people. They're being disposed of. Okay, after it's done. Now, who is doing it? I don't know for sure. But it's either humans. I think it's humans because why would they have black budget and black projects? If it's not humans, it's humans. It's probably humans with a mix of humanoids or ETs.
Yeah, yes. The dark forces, those darker civilizations that are working with the government, the more nuts and bolts civilizations, although they're more advanced than us. That's what this is. And that regression I'm talking about even showed that. And this individual was very specific about what they were showing. I take them deep too. To see something like that. And it's a little girl at the time that was witnessing this, and that was a conjunct operation. I have somebody else, okay, that is, I can't reveal names because it's interesting. A lot of people like when I do these sessions with them, I had somebody tell me today, I I couldn't watch the video. I record it. And a lot of times if it's on Zoom, then they can't watch it. Okay. I know somebody that very involved in these communities, but if you talk to them, they would tell you that I'm just into this stuff, but I'm not a contactee of any type. They say that all the time. Well, when I get around them, it's the same way you feel. Like I knew you's a contactee. You have that Artron energy, that vibration that you've either been around some of these beings or been on a craft or something. Okay. And so during regression, during a session, we only did one, but actually it was for earthbound spirits. We get done with that. They're so deep. I went ahead and just did a regression with them just to see if I was right. And sure enough, and this individual that will claim to you they have no contact experiences starts describing to me a mall somewhere in California that looks like completely abandoned on the outside, but on the inside it's been remodeled into these classrooms, like where the department stores would be in it. And these classrooms, they describe being in one with their civilian clothes on, about 20 students in there, and some are like in civilian clothes like they are, but then there are other that are military people in there sitting as class people, and they're all being instructed by a light being that's almost a whitish silver color, more whitish, and is telepathically instructing them all. And when I asked them, I said, "Where is this being from? They start saying Andromeda. And I'm too curious, so I got them asking them, "Hey, do you see certain whistleblowers? We know they have these huge platforms. So hey, do you see that person in there? Nope. This person? Nope. Took them to another room. They've been in several rooms, several classes. None of those people are in any of those rooms. I'm just saying, food for thought, okay? But I mean, that's something like that when it's done and the person's come through, they say, well, I just thought those were dreams. Dreams like that? Repeated? But then individuals like that don't really want to follow any more through about their experiences. They're freaked out by it, which I understand, even though it wasn't negative. But I'm just saying, so that kind of stuff happens with the military and with contactees in a joint operation. And that's what you're describing there. And that's what that person saw. And, and that's what the other regression I did too with the triangle. So we know that the triangles, some type of these T3Bs are connected with this. We know that they're doing this underground like this other stuff. Okay. And we know that they're using some type of a stasis field. Like, I guess if we want to be Star Trek, we call it transporter beam. But, I've been very interested in the stasis beam, like the color of the stasis beam. The first ship that I got taken with adult onset experiences, the light started off as gold. Then it would go blue, then gold. It kind of flashed back a few times. And I wanted to know more about that because between the communities of melanin dominant contactees and melanin recessive contactees, okay, white black people, there was a lot of speculation in saying that a lot of black contactees had never experienced a purple levitation stasis beam. And the reason why the purple stasis beam is used is because it's ultraviolet and it's actually sterilizing the humans that go into the craft. So you don't have something happen like what happened on War of the Worlds. You remember what got them, right?
Germs.
Yeah, the germs got them. Yeah. So they were saying though, since the rumor was that as black people, because we have a high melanin content, we didn't have to be sterilized by the ultraviolet light. So when I got the platform I'm on now, I started asking around, what color beam took you up? I started asking around, and I found out that whole thing didn't quite hold water when you're talking to enough experiencers. There's all sorts of colors take people up, but you can't say one race gets sterilized and the other doesn't. That's not, Anyway, but nonetheless, I think it's interesting just to find stuff like that out. But we're dealing with a different type of stasis field that paralyzes people, pops them out into somewhere else almost immediately in a downward spiral that you've mentioned. You mentioned that with both underground on the first target and the second. So the fact that they're water deaths is just they're being dropped in water or whatever, but that's not really what it's about. That's just a coincidence part of it, I think. It's the same type of a organization, facilities doing this. wouldn't you say? And we've got,
Yeah.
you know, extraterrestrial and human working together.
I think so. Just like the Dyatlov Pass incident. I think that this is important. Okay. I think it's important that it goes back a long ways. And this was back when, I don't know when people started reporting UFO sightings. I mean, alien contact. Was it the 1950s when it became kind of prominent and popular?
Yeah.
You know, this is around all the same time. Okay. This is around the same time. So this is when that happened. It's been going on this entire time, I suppose. And this is an interesting comment. I wanted to stop and talk about this real quick. Co-create Happy says Gene Decode, the ex-military submarine whistleblower, says they are taken down into the dumbs, and also that there are waterways with submarine bases there. Also, that was in my data.
You know, actually, I've heard something about that too. Underwater ways.
Thank you for that comment.
You know, I want to say, was it the whole William Cooper? Did he talk about that? Behold a pale horse.
Ooh, I don't know.
I could be wrong. I thought he might have mentioned somebody mentioned that too. Besides Phil Snyder, I became very interested when he talked about the tunneling technology they had. And to me, the technology he described is a lot the way. Oh, God, I gotta go geek on y'all. Actually, people didn't put me down for my references of movies. So people said they liked it in television. But the original Star Trek, what they called the Vorta, which were the ones that could barrel through silicon
Okay.
on that planet. But I mean, in reality, it sounds these machines that Phil Snyder was describing was a lot like the Vorta. Or was it Horta? I'm sorry, Horta. Vorta
Okay.
were the Jem'Hadar guards or Jem'Hadar people ahead of the Dominion. Sorry. Gotta keep my geek right.
No, Ray, I don't know any of this geek talk, Barry. So don't expect me to know.
It's all right. You know the boss man.
I know. Well, you know, Lakeside Laura says that they took all the dark paintings and stuff down at the Denver airport. Maybe that's why I didn't see them. I was there long enough. I did go around and look.
Wow.
But I did not see any of that stuff. They do say that is like a hub or an entrance to a lot of these tunnels and stuff. So to some of the dumps.
And I've heard that about the arch too. When you mentioned the arch in your data, it made me thought about the St. Louis Arch and how they say there's supposed to be some reptilians under there or something.
Yeah, they're supposed to even be. Allegedly, there was a dog man unalived right there under the arch. They say that's an actual portal. Okay, so whether that's true, I have no clue. I don't know, but it's but that's the word on the street. Okay, so I don't know. It's a mighty big arch and a mighty big portal if that's what it is.
You know, some of this ties into also to the cattle mutilations, the cattle abductions, and then I mean, this all ties right in together. What they're using, and you know, even I think worth throwing in too is something is the chronic wasting disease and the mad cow disease and all that stuff. These prion diseases that keeps coming up. You know how they said that they weren't able to be transferred between species, and you had a bunch of people that caught like brain bovine. That you know that big deal. I think and we start looking at this and some of the things that cows have compatible with humanoids. It's quite creepy, and you know.
Oh yeah, it's all pretty creepy. We hadn't even talked about the reptilians and stuff too. Okay, so and I know I'm gonna y'all every video, Barry. I swear to God, now at this point, every video I make gets one of those Wikipedia warnings on it now. Like all of them, even the ones where like I don't even talk about anything super crazy, but it says alien abductions, and it like wants everybody to know that like alien abductions are all fake. You know,
of course that could possibly happen. Yeah.
Right. So there is surely going to be, and the fact that I just said reptilian, it's going to say reptilian underneath it. Y'all just watch. I don't know. Just y'all can quote me on that.
Yeah. It's worth saying that you know you've got about 80% of the population that are experiencers of some type. You know, because it's a conscious event. But you know, never mind that. Let's stick to just the abduction part, which is a small fraction. In reality of all of us that are having contact. Yeah. I would be willing to gamble that there are more people in your chat right now that are experiencers like me or you than abductees, than super soldiers. Yeah. Just saying. Yeah. Nothing wrong with being a normal person and having these weird experiences. That's kind of how it goes. and trying to understand it is just as hard, you know?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And if
There.
you were somebody that saw a UFO before the age of the drones that we have now, and you were the only person that could see it, or two or three people in a crowd, you should try to be regressed for that. Something was transmitted to you on the superconscious or subconscious level. I'm seeing that more and more, and I've almost been not wrong about it yet. I mean, it happens so quick that we're just not accustomed to getting information like that. We want to call it downloads and things, but really it's a transfer, almost instantaneous telethought that happens on a level that is hard for us to even recollect after the event horizon itself. And it starts coming up and manifesting in dreams. You see that UFO and other people couldn't see it, and you just go on with your life. You forget about it. Kind of like Kurt Russell being the first person that called in that those lights, the Phoenix lights.
Uh-huh.
He was the first person to call that in. Yeah, yeah. And he kind of said, I just forgot about it. Till he came back home, like, a year later, and his wife was watching it, Goldie Hawn. And he said, I'm the one that called that in. He's a pilot. Stuff like that. But we just go on with our life so much that you just forget about that stuff. But it's the same way with the contact experience, and you see something like that, you go on with your day, and 2 days later, 3 days later, you're having dreams about aliens or weird creatures or weird environments. You wouldn't put the connection there because there's a time lag. Anyway.
I mean, yeah. I mean, when I started doing all the Bigfoot field research, that's when I started having contact that I remembered with ETs in my house. Okay. Not outside the house, in the house. Okay. Inside my house. So yes.
Question for the record.
Okay.
Question.
Okay.
Would you consider most of your experiences negative, positive, both? What would you consider them?
Neither.
Concerning extraterrestrials.
Neither. It was just one of those things like, oh, that's freaking weird. Why is that happening? Why are they here? Why are you here? What are y'all doing? And then immediately when I start to question it, and I'm like, on the verge of like, what the heck are y'all doing here? I go back to sleep. I'm basically put back to sleep.
Okay.
I'm put to sleep.
Well, that's what happened today. I've been working a lot, and I just get bombed sometimes. Information. They're telling me that you consider you being remote viewed.
I was being remote viewed. Yes.
Yeah, by then that's what I'm getting. Yeah, you got to give to get, right?
Yeah. Well, here's an interesting thought though, because I never thought of this. Okay, this episode has not been released yet. Okay, but I went on a very popular podcast with Tony Merkel. Okay, so Tony. And like I said, it has not released yet. So don't go looking for it, y'all. When it comes out, I will put it on my channel. Okay, I'll blast it out all over social media. But we were talking about that instance where I did have the ET encounters, and he put it out there. He was like, well, what if, because my dogs were asleep, they didn't wake up. My son was in the room, he didn't wake up, but they were right there. And I was trying to kind of wake people up. Nobody's waking up. And he was like, what if you were it was in the astral? It was almost like on Stranger Things, when you're in the alternate, the parallel universe there, and you're awake and everybody else is asleep. When that happened, I woke up in the astral in their dimension. You know what I mean? And I wasn't actually in mine. I was just a step above where I dwell, in the physical.
Call it the dreamscape too. Call it the dreamscape too. That's where they can meet us halfway. Instead of the experiences like I had where they're physically, you're getting sick. You know what I mean? The dream body, the energy body doesn't conform to the same parameters, physical laws of this one.
Yeah.
That makes sense a lot. Halfway, or in their realm altogether. They exist there. And a lot of times when we start talking about these dream practices and lucid dreaming and things, and being aware that there's something called targeted dream incubation, which is actually turning people's dreams into memories and those memories into reality. That's how you have so many people connected to a hive mind, and they're suddenly having this, oh, I had a dream about this. Well, so did I. Oh, this happened, and it's an alternate reality. Yeah, that's a hive mind type of computer brain to brain interface that's going on right now. And a lot of people are getting bombarded with that, and it's being used to change the entire contactee narrative. I'm telling you. And I'm talking about that more and more. And it's not fair to those of us that have had different experiences than that, to not even get to hear about it. You know, we got to really bring all this together. I think that's something you and I have tried to do quite a bit, you know?
That's right. Yeah, well, we've got amazing boots on the ground field researchers out there like Kristen Payton here. Kristen's one of my teammates. Hey, Kristen, thank you so much for being here. Thank you for that super sticker. Of all people, Kristen knows we do deal with a lot of strange entities. They can follow us home too. Kristen and I both know that all too well. And so we have to know how to protect ourselves. But see, Kristen's out there. She's the one that recorded the portal in the field. Okay, so I mean, that at any moment, you know, people like myself and Kristen and our team, and David Pardue's in the chat, he's on my team, we could get taken like this out there. Now, I wonder what it is. Like, I still have questions to all this, Barry. There's still a lot of questions because, like, the last thing I want is to ever be taken. They're not doing good things to people. Okay, they're meeting their demise ultimately. Okay, according to my data, everybody who's been taken ultimately, it's in the data, they're unalived. Okay, and I don't know how, I don't know exactly who, but it's not something, it's something to be feared, even though I say don't live in fear. But where do we go from here?
You know, some are returned and have no memory at all. And Paulides talks about that quite a bit. Now you kind of get a little insight on that. And it tends to make me wonder how much of this is karma and also genetic, like being tracing back. Like the person I was talking about that had the triangle to come over their brownie pack and all that, there's something generational going on there. The grandfather was in the military. You know what I mean? And yeah, they're being watched and things like that. So there's several things that lead up to that that make me look at how much of this is also a genetic thing that some of us carry, that are people the same as these curses that come from ancestors. Okay, you take the traumas that come from ancestors, we're carrying that also, these people that are in these experiments, that it's been signed something your ancestors did, a project they're in, and you're having to pay for it and deal with it. It really makes you look into that. You know what I mean? Got to stay objective, you know?
Oh my God, karmic stuff. Yeah. Okay. Well, I want to go back and go over this data just to read this again, because that's exactly what you said. This is in my data, Barry. So I wrote simulation technology, augmented reality, but I wrote can't move, held down, memory wipe, taken away, taken out, and die is what I wrote. Okay. But a memory wipe, that's kind of a big deal. Okay. It's kind of a big deal that was in my data here.
Yeah. And all the people that he talks about that survived, you know, they don't know what happened. They're completely like wiped, a mind wipe at that point. You know,
it's like on MIB, that movie where they have the little device and it wipes your memory.
Yeah, you know, I think maybe that's a little sensationalized, but the ability that I think that some beings can do that without technology, they can just do that through the optic nerves. It puts us at a great disadvantage, especially if they're ones from a lower civilization in terms of lower vibrationally and dark, you know, and that's what it's like. This is a playground here. Well, the humanoids that are running this place are dark, so they're just in cooperation. And I'm hoping that's what's changing here right now on this planet. We're getting a lot of people that are incarnating with past life memories intact, soul life memories intact. You know, when I do a past life regression, like let's say life between lives or one like that, it will take the person to the life just before they had here, this one. And most often it's another Earth incarnation. You know, I'm getting a lot of people, several people now, it's the past incarnation. They're describing something like Mars, or the last person I did, they're describing a planet that's probably on the other side of the galaxy, an entire different type of civilization of non-humans, a whole other thing going on. You know what I mean? It's really amazing. And in the adjustment of learning what they learned there and bringing that here, the sound work, the energy work they did there, the maintaining the vibration frequencies of that planet. And then they brought that information here with them, and they're aware of it. You know what I mean? So something like that is, well, kind of, but more now. But I think that counts. People be aware that as immortal souls, you've incarnated so many times, so many different existences, universe, densities, dimensions. Don't count it out, you know?
That's
And
right.
part of it, when we go back during the death process to this as Ray and them call it, the mind of God, or this repository, it does take a lot of our life memories. And then when we return and reincarnate the next place, we go slightly wiped to a degree. But otherwise, we would not have the chance to gather the more experiences as God fragments. You know what I'm saying?
I do.
Real quick before I shut up, there's that episode of Voyager where one of the Q wants to kill itself. And they go through like this type of a trial. And for trial, the other Q shows the continuum where these creatures exist outside of space and time. But he shows it like this desert road. There's like a gas station and some people hanging around. And they said, well, what's the road? Oh, that's the cosmos. It goes upwards, it goes forward, it goes back. And we've all been everything. We've all been on the road everywhere. And we've been everything at the station, the dog, the paper, the ball game. We've been everything, and there's nothing left. You know what I mean? So that means as immortal souls, you and I, our audience, the one real adversary we have is boredom. And I've said it before. When you were a kid, when you played hide and go seek, you knew where everybody's going to be after probably the first or second time. But then you kept playing it for what, other 5-6 times anyway? Right. Why? Because you didn't want to be bored.
I never get bored. I never do, especially with all the stuff that we're doing. And there's too much to do. I don't have time. I wish I had time to be bored. Don Perkinson, thank you so much for that super sticker. I really appreciate that very much. And also Lakeside Laura, I believe. Yeah, Lakeside Laura. Laura, thank you so much. Thank you. Barry's the one on fire. He's always on fire. Okay. So that's awesome. Okay, I want to kind of go back. Okay, let's talk about missing people again. Okay, because we have an epidemic of missing people in the United States. An epidemic. Okay, this is of epidemic proportions, and I did a little bit of research before the show tonight, and it was I was trying to find out like how many people actually go missing every year from our national parks. Okay, and of course a lot of these people are found. Okay, but they do have the statistics of like how many times search and rescue SAR is called out. Okay, how many times they are called out to go help search and find people. Okay, and so they say that over 600,000. These are reported missing people. Reported. That doesn't mean that that's how many. There's probably a lot more. Especially with people who are not like citizens here or documented. There's no way to know who's here, if you know what I mean. There's no telling how many of those people are going missing too. Okay, but how many people go missing in the U.S.? I found that they say there's over 600,000 people that go missing every year just in the United States. That's almost 1 million people. Okay, and of those 600,000, this is what they say. Now, I don't know if I believe this number, but I could. Maybe it is. Maybe it's right. It says that thousands go missing in our national parks, but the only solid number I could find was 1,600. Okay, I think it's more than that. Okay, I think it's way more than that. Now, the most disappearances, just so y'all know, the most disappearances is going to be at the Grand Canyon Park. The Grand Canyon. Does that surprise you, Barry? The Grand Canyon, of all places. Yeah. I mean, especially with like the ancient Egyptian settlements, the reptilians, the ant people. It's got a lot of history.
Webcore, Superman 3. No, just kidding.
What is that?
Forget it. Oh man, but the Grand Canyon's a fascinating place. A lot of activity there. And if you remember, there's another movie, Starman. When he actually left, I do believe that they had him meet him by the crater, in the crater near the Grand Canyon, that big crater.
Yeah.
I think. Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah. Well, okay. Well, there's 785. Okay, this is between 2018 and 2020, so this is like 4 years old. Okay, but they said there were that they topped it off for that from those year spans. 785 search and rescue attempts had been made to go find people that were missing. The second highest, take a wild guess. What do you think it is of all the national parks? You and I did a show on it. I think was it Yellowstone or Yosemite? It was Yosemite. Yeah. Was it Yellowstone with the Gugway and the fog?
Yes,
That was
Yellowstone.
Yellowstone.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
So
yeah.
it was, but it's Yosemite. I'm sure Yellowstone ranks up there though, with some of the highest rate of disappearances there. Okay. And, yeah, it's,
Wow,
let's see.
interesting.
So it says between 89 to 92% of the missing people are recovered. Okay. So that's a large percentage are recovered, whether alive or deceased. But how many of those disappear in the wild is unclear. Neither the Department of the Interior, which oversees the National Park Service, or the Department of Agriculture's U.S. Forest Service keeps track. Why wouldn't they keep track, Barry? Because they're government owned and agencies. And if whatever is taking these people is part of a black program, black budget, that's why they're not reporting this stuff. I'm sure they keep records. Somebody does. I mean,
What was it when Paulides first tried to get like consensus of the missing people? What they try to charge him, like $4 million or something
like
like that?
$1 million. Yeah, at least $1 million. It's probably more than
Yeah,
that.
something like $1 million. Yeah, it was something like that.
Yeah.
An unreal amount that, you know.
They don't care.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
You know, I had mentioned somebody on there had mentioned that the chat's going so fast and it's killer stuff on there. I can't keep up with it. But somebody had mentioned that there's that difference between astral and physical experiences. And really, if you look like it, the CCRI research, it shows actually that the majority of contact experiences are astral, energetic, dream state. And ones like mine, physical, are somewhat more rare. But someone in the chat was talking about having physical marks after what seems to be a dream astral experience. They can't ignore it. I would agree. That showed that you've had something physical that's happened, in a way, and that needs to be definitely taken seriously. And when I was, for a long time, I didn't want to, because when I was younger, I had like astral experiences too. That were of an extraterrestrial type, dream type. But, I didn't count those. That wasn't like real contact, like where I'm on one of these things and I can touch stuff and I'm getting sick. And, there's physically there. That's different than the astral. But the truth is, like I said, a lot of them will meet us halfway for contact, and that's easier for them as opposed to, just coming fully here in this density and getting stuck, unless they're already third dimensional like. So.
Yeah. Yeah, Damien, that's a good question. I wasn't going to say that. Corey, I want to go back to this comment because Corey Cole had a really good comment here. I wonder how many that are found aren't the same person that originally went missing. Now, I wouldn't even consider that. I would, but until I did that remote viewing target for Arkeem Raw, and it was the robot grandma at Mount Shasta. Okay, and that was the kid called it a robot. He basically got kidnapped by someone who looked like his grandma, but it wasn't his grandma. And she had woken up, like his actual grandma had woken up face down on the ground at that same campsite the year before with puncture wounds in her neck. Okay, and the robot grandma had taken the kid into like a cave that had a whole bunch of like robot looking people that weren't moving, like dummies, mannequins, clones. I think they were clones. Okay, so who's to say there's not some program where they're cloning people and sending them out? I mean, you're right, Corey. That's actually a pretty good point. How many of the people that show back up are not actually the real people, the original people? I know that's weird, but it's true.
Sorry, I'm looking at. I'm back on. I'm still way back on comments, but I'm seeing one. It says from and walking lightly 369. Are you able to discern and tell real deal from holographic memory implants and holographic past life information? One would be, the soul can tell the difference. The superconscious has recorded all your lifetimes, okay, and you can access it, even this body, when you get into like theta. But the thing with that holographic memory that I think you're describing would go back into this type of thing I mentioned earlier, this dream, targeted dream incubation, and the ways of dream incubation is something you could look up concerning that. Is I want to say it's Dio Mayo is the name of them. But what they do is they actually have this glove you can put on that has a silicone chip type of chip in it that will actually track your dreams, record them, and also can change them. And they've also got not the goggles you did the show on, but they're a type of a goggles you can put on that actually also can give you dream incubation. And that's just stuff that is transparent. God, what is the name of that company? I'm sorry. Anyway, but that's the transparency you can see on the dream incubation technology and dream simulation. And that is really about, I mean, as serious it can go, because once they have the ability to turn your dreams into the memories and the memories into reality, that's why anyone that's experiencing that wouldn't be able to tell the difference. How would you know it's not a 21 and back program? You would think it's real. You know what I mean? And it would be. And a lot of times these people that are, I've talked to a lot of them now, that are these super soldiers, they'll tell this to me a lot. They'll say, well, I'm me, but then there's this other me that does this other stuff. There's this other me that's flying the spaceship. There's this other man, this other me that's was hanging out with the hybrids. This other me that's building lasers and phasers and all these different technology and guns. You know, it's me that's being trained on this other ship. It's, I mean, I hear that a lot. It's the two people. And that right there is kind of showing you something right there, that you're dealing with a type of a different different reality, alternate reality. That's something that's being induced with technology.
Well, that was also in my data too, for these targets, Barry. That was actually in my data too, because I wrote down fragmented reality, augmented reality, simulation technology, can't move and being held down. Okay, and a memory wipe. That's where the memory wipe came in. So that was a part of this target that you gave me with the missing people. Interesting stuff. Okay, I wanted to, what was it I was going to go back? Oh, okay. Scott, this is interesting because Scott was saying earlier, I saw in the comments, Scott, that you were saying that you woke up with some bruises, okay, triangular bruises in a triangle formation. Okay, so he says, I asked them if they're taking me to fix my damage, and they did. They left a triangle bruise on my inner thigh. Okay, that reminded me of the movie that I watched today with the David Paulides Missing 411, the UFO connection. And that gentleman, Carl Higdon was his name. That was a case study of the gentleman. I believe he's the one that saw the clear cube and was put on into the cube, and it was a spacecraft. Okay, and now my team, Kristen and David, are both in the chat, and they're the ones who encountered the cube in the field. Okay, the clear cube, you couldn't see it with your own eyes. Okay, only through thermals and night vision and stuff. But he said that when he came back from that experience, like they brought him back because he had a vasectomy. Okay, and they were apparently, whoever that was that took him, they were looking for someone for some samples, if you know what I mean. Okay, and he wasn't able to give them the samples.
You had a juice. Get out.
They were looking for the life juice or something. I don't know, whatever that is. So, anyways, but he couldn't provide the sample they needed apparently. So they brought him back. They dropped him down back to dropped him back down to earth. Okay, and but when he was taken to a hospital to get checked out, the spots on his lungs had disappeared. Okay, he had tuberculosis as a child and had terrible scarring on his lungs. Okay, and I'm not giving the movie away, okay, by any means, but I'm just saying this was part of it, and this reminded me of that because whenever they took him, they corrected his lungs. Okay, they corrected his lungs, and healed him somehow. Maybe it was like a med bed or something, some sort of technology like that.
Mm-hmm.
So that's
a cool
sometimes
point. Being in the environment can do it too. 0 point type energy, vacuum state energy, that can do it also. Create healing, spontaneous healing. Wow, what a great chat. These are a lot of sharp people in there, man.
Wow. Oh yeah.
What was that last one?
Oh, it was okay. Let's go back to Roger here. This one right here, it says, I've even heard from a woman that was injured or even killed or unalived. But when they cloned her and she had a disease before that was not there when the doctor examined her. Okay. Mm-hmm. Now, could that be they brought back a clone? I mean, even with that guy in the cube, I mean, did they bring a clone back? Man, I know reality just got way weirder, didn't it?
When you deal with these civilizations that have AKA resurrection technology. That's really that tube technology, that tube clone technology. It
Yeah.
is possible, but I think that some of that only goes so far. We're at a point of technology now where somebody could prove that they're a clone, more than just YouTube videos of someone's eyes going black and stuff like that. We can, get some testing done now. Let's see some evidence
Mhm.
of somebody, one of these stars that is not who they say they are, that they're really a clone. Get a sample. Somebody.
Yeah,
Get a
right.
tissue sample, just like the lady had to get one from the Hulk. Married. I think the name of that episode. She had to get a dermal sample from him. Yeah. So I mean, I'm just saying. I try to move some of this aside because some of it is real. I myself have seen a type of resurrection technology, but it was what we would call quasi crystalline and quasi crystallography is what this was. So I mean, so I'm not doubting that at all. But when you get these others like Bases 18 and these type of, I believe Linda Porter is the lady's name that really brought this to the forefront. To Linda Moulton Howe, Linda
Oh, yeah.
Porter, and she talked about those tubes and seeing the mantis being that was there with her, and they're saying that they actually are making these clone bodies and trying to get. And what I've experienced in some of these regressions is a lot of them have a problem getting soul essence into any of these clones. And they're trying to do things as tricking souls into getting there with technology, with false light, or that they're trying these multiple ways of getting fracturing souls, like that video I did with one of the clients I had, and that they're trying to actually fracture his soul and place him in these clone bodies that are in other dimensions. And how they were doing that is by testing how far they could levitate his soul from his body when they're like quote unquote abducting him, and they're taking the ship higher and they're bringing him higher and they're seeing how far they can take him, and therefore then from there if they can fragment parts of his soul into the other clone bodies from his sperm that they've taken. Okay, this is in many different dimensions, and when they were trying to test him and taking him from the craft is what gave him night terrors years later as an adult. Waking up with night terrors and not knowing why and not being able to associate it with suddenly feeling like he was floating above his house and around the trees. Those are screen memories. And then they tried to screen memory him and me during the regression. They'll do that.
Oh, yeah.
Active
This is
screen
fun.
memories. Yeah, yeah. But you can get through those if you know how.
Oh, yeah. The comments are moving so fast. This is funny. I've talked about this before with all the cloned rappers and stuff. Yeah, I think Gucci might be cloned. I'm just saying, Damien. I don't know. I live in Atlanta. Okay, I don't know Gucci, but I know a lot of the other guys. He does look way different. Okay, he looks way different now. But anyways, I'm just saying. I think a lot of people and that's a, I don't say that's a different type of cloning. Okay, but it's the same cloning. But that's ultimately I always say a lot of what's going on here is about control, right? Everything's about control, and I don't know. I don't think this whole topic tonight is any different. Controlling the masses, doing weird experiments, like this is. I don't know if this is even meant to put us in fear too, in some way. It's like that loosh that I talked about. We talked about before. It's like the loosh. Like I still go to the national parks. This does not stop us from going to those national parks. Okay, it doesn't. We're still out there doing our thing. Um, I'm not living in fear. I don't live my life worried about if I'm going to get taken and stuff. I mean, because I'm just not going to live in fear like that. I'm just not.
Oh, yeah, I see a lot of
True.
people saying that in there. No fear, no fear.
It's no
Okay.
fear. I really don't have any fear over it. I mean, I have fear of taking my kid, though, and that's
Yeah.
that's why I think it's important that we talk about this because we
I have
do
a
take our
question.
families out here to those
You
places.
have no fear, but do you have self-preservation?
Heck yeah, I do. I stay locked and loaded, baby,
You'll be
all the
all right.
time,
Kid. Yes, yes. Like they're like one of my supporters. They
all
called
day,
you. They
every
said that
day.
you're like the Pollyanna with a basket and also a gun.
Oh, yeah, what the heck? I don't know if Pollyanna's the right one, but yeah, I'm
a strapped up Pollyanna.
I'm, I'm Little Red Riding Hood with the strap. Okay, like
Red
for
Riding
real.
Hood.
Yeah, you don't want to mess with us country girls. I'm sorry, you don't want to mess with us country girls.
What did the wolf be technically a werewolf? Technically, would that be a werewolf?
I guess so.
Yeah.
A dog, man. This is a big bad wolf. But I mean, I think that's kind of like the message tonight, though. Okay, because this is very real. These people are going missing. There's no doubt to that. Okay, no doubt. There's no debating that these people are going missing. According to the data, they're being taken. Okay, they're being taken. There's something going on underground. Okay, it's heavily guarded. Black budgets. Our U.S. tax dollars are probably going to all this.
You can tie the clusters to the underground bases.
All of it's connected. Okay, and we've got. I mean, potentially, what if they're using some of these cryptids to do some of the kidnapping? I mean, why not? Nick Sylvester came on my show. He said that our let's just say agencies are working with like 13 species of cryptids to do things like kidnapping people and stuff. Okay, so what if the cryptids are being used? What if Dogman's being? When I did that remote viewing target of the Land Between the Lakes, Beast of LBL, my data said whatever those were that attacked that family were trained assassins. This is for entertainment purposes only, everybody. Trained assassins is what it said. So use that how you will, everybody. This is just remote viewing data. We're just throwing it out there and stuff. I'm not saying this is all real. I'm just saying this is in my data.
Interesting statement. Akashic records are always accessible if not guarded. It's like a file. Who guards the Akashic records? The Akashic records are makos. They're black holes. So they're accessible to everyone through brain waves, through the microtubules of your brain. It's not just guarded by anybody. It's not the minds of Solomon's mines. The thing is this, okay? When dealing with those makos, and I've already expressed several times on this show in earlier day how the makos work with our brain holes, with our brain waves and microtubules. Okay, so when dealing with that and understanding that when we get brain entrainment with negative encounters and all the things that are just splashed on us all the time, if you have some of these beings that are only existing within the Mako itself, within the Akashic records, because they've been long exterminated, they're out of existence now, okay, but they're still within that quantum hologram, that Mako, and they can interact with us through the divine field and our brain waves. But even though these beings are coming from the divine field, we can be so entrenched in brain entrainment and negative encounters that we are strong enough to warp the encounter that they're giving us into something that's negative. We're much more powerful than people that we're told, okay? And then our warp tongue twisted. Our warp fields of our thoughts create warp fields that actually affect reality. That was taught to me in experience, okay? That's important when you're dealing with beings that are coming through pure consciousness. And it's a conscious event. So we have the ability to change it to something negative. That does happen, yes, but not all encounters are like that. And a lot of the unknown and the fear of it will change it to a negative encounter based on what we've been exposed to strictly through the media. It's real food for thought there.
It is. Mike Prine has an interesting question. What happened to the Anunnaki king that was found under the Euphrates River? I don't know. I don't know a whole lot about that. I think Dennis had mentioned that. Somebody had asked that in the chat on Wednesday, I think, yesterday, or one of those last times we did a show. I think it was yesterday.
I've got a problem with the term Anunnaki.
I just do.
The reason is because that's just one specific type of beings, and no one says what they really look like. That doesn't include the beings that were from the Triangulum galaxy that's the cycle before here, that were melanin dominant, okay, that created a lot of stuff that you see here now. But we don't even know anything about that. And this Anunnaki, you've got all these different species that have been here. This place is a farm. So you don't know what Anunnaki is. Too limiting of a term for all the beings that come here that have been experimenting on Homo sapiens sapien. Just saying that. Now, this is a problem I have. And that's all based on Zechariah's information. Hey, that's cool. He wrote some cool books, yes. But that's not the only way to interpret all that information. Saying that they all came here just to mine gold. The beings I've encountered with, why? You've got so many exoplanets out there, some that are full of gold. They could go mine there. Just because they need to have humans to do it. Some have technology to do it on. If you look at what Norman Bergen was saying in his original book, the Ringmakers of Saturn, he's talking about how those ships out there, he thought that they're, miles and miles long, and they were either mining the rings or creating the rings, was his theory. When you start dealing with civilizations like that, and that kind of autonomy, it's, similar to what you saw when I had another blind target looking at the sun, the portals.
Yeah.
It was actually the cube.
Earth's weapon has portals, actually.
Remember the cube? How'd you look at the cube?
Oh, the cube too. That's right.
You were seeing large amounts of AI on there. Not even life form on there.
It was all AI. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was a big cube of AI is what that was. Now you sparked a memory, okay, because gold mines. Okay, gold mines, that was in that's something that I've been talking about with Fred in Alaska, Fred Roll. He and I were having conversations a bunch last year about Bigfoots being spotted at gold mines, okay, Sasquatch and stuff. Well, this is actually something that came up in that movie today that I watched with the David Paulides UFO connection, Missing 411, okay? And they talked about gold mines there, okay? It was another gold mine connection with these missing people. And what's up with the gold mines? I mean, they say the Anunnakis have, a connection, like you said, to gold and stuff like that, but what's up with the cryptids and the gold mines? Do you think those are just entrances to inner Earth, and that's just where they're going, and it's their travel way or something? What do you think?
Two things. One is often Sasquatch is reported around these mines. Another would be the mines of Solomon. The Sasquatch is supposed to be guarding that. And then there's something else, and this goes into Kemetic information and knowledge. That when you had the beings like from Triangulum Galaxy here, and these beings that were 25 feet tall, that had a civilization here, that when they actually had their waste products, especially their urine, these cats are from a completely different sphere, and that their urine and that their waste products over time formed into types of gold here on Earth.
What?
And where you have like,
gold?
Yeah, the types of gold, and that's how we have certain amounts of precious minerals on this planet, that it comes from them, and they're actually sewage.
Oh my
That's
God.
genetic information. Yeah, and when you start thinking about when you have these beings that have these Ormus blood, is that what we're dealing with? The large types of Ormus. I'm saying that right, but that type of gold in their bodies, much more than us. And so these things, it needs to be thought about what existed here before the civilizations before that are long destroyed.
Oh my God.
So I'll just throw that out there. It's just, I'm not saying it's true, but it's a speculation, and it's from a different culture saying that. So
oh my God.
The thought.
24 karat urine. I can appreciate that.
Over time it did, like, just, I don't think it was like straight gold when they pissed it out, but in time the byproduct of it creates with earth minerals and stuff, it creates that byproduct of that.
Oh my God, that's so wild.
That's so wild. Type of gold, some type of ornament. Yeah. But that would have been a long time ago. We've got these cycles. Like, I remember being on Earth when there's a different cycle here. And you look at like what they call shamans now. Back in that first cycle, they were terrifying people. Okay, there are people that were shrewd tricksters, straight up. And you can look at that in some things, like the people that are familiar with Carlos Castaneda, what his Juan Mattis or Mariana or Arellano, depending on which books you're reading on who, he was, the things that he was doing to Castaneda were devoid of love, a lot of them. And, kind of some people would conjecture, well, that was the Native American man just showing and doing what he was trained. But it was noticeably from the other cycle that was devoid of love, shrewd. And he would tell Castaneda would be like, he'd do things with blast of perception. Why are you doing this to me? And he'd be like, man, you're lucky I like you. I'm not doing anything to you like my teacher did to me, which was actually having the ability of these shamans, these sorcerers, to contain negative inorganic beings in things like crystals and nuts, and then open it up and only feeding them with negative emotions, okay, and getting them to work for them in that way, turning them into allies like that. You know, and I've dealt with, you know, it's like something like scrying and things. You've got these different things you can do that can summon these inorganic beings from the levels of fluidity. A lot of when you start going lower like that, like the things you were talking about and describing, those are dealing with the levels of fluidity. And you've got certain things you can do, like mirrors and things that are knocked on a door in water to those beings. And once they come through those portals, they can't go back. And they'll follow you around. You know, just again, food for thought. And some things I learned to stop messing with when I was a late teenager. You know,
Yeah.
teenager, they're 20s, I guess. Anyway.
I'm just watching all the comments about the gold urine over here. What the heck, dude? That's so funny. But it's interesting. I never heard that before, Barry. I always learn something. I just don't know what it's going to be every time we do a show together. This time, Anunnaki pea gold. And I can appreciate it.
Yeah. And look at those beings that were using, you know, that had, especially those ones that were from Triangulum. They had a large thing of that. You know, people talk about eating Artemis gold and drinking all that stuff. Now that's what those beings were doing. It's a big part of their blood system and their chemical makeup. But you got to remember, they're from a different sphere.
They are.
Whole different thing going on. Different biological. You know.
None your biz. Thank you for that super sticker. I really do appreciate that. It's very sweet. Yeah. Well, we have really. I guess we've covered all the data tonight and stuff, Barry. And we're at the 2-hour mark. So I figure maybe let's kind of wrap it up a little bit and have some final thoughts on the missing 411 missing people tonight. What do you think? What are some final thoughts on all of this?
It sucks. No, I'm just kidding. No, I think you summed it up pretty good. That the people are being abducted. They're being taken. A lot of them being taken to an underground base or something, and we have to kind of incorporate that with this correlation that's going on with these negative humans and negative ETs, and also put into that. I hate to say it, but some of them are disappearing. Some of these disappearances are probably coming from Gugwe and Sasquatch, but they're not the main primate. They're not the main people and the main culprits, excuse me, in this one. It's not them. You would have picked that up. You know, those weren't the Inhumans you were describing when I was asking you before. They weren't Sasquatch-like. So that, you know, that's something else, but we've got that going on too. So we've got several different areas, but the main thing is that this is starting with these human ET underground bases and experiments. And then just a matter of getting the people, dropping them back. And sometimes you got extraterrestrials that are doing it, but they're working with the humans. So maybe it's not the separations that we think.
No, and I want people to go back, if you can, go back and watch that remote viewing show I did on the Dyatlov Pass incident. I think that has it has a connection to what we're talking about with these missing people. Okay. And some of the same information kind of that we're talking about with this, which is happening in 2024, was happening back in the 1950s. I think that was in the 1950s when that happened in Soviet Russia. Okay. So this has been going on for a long time. I think those people got too close to an entrance to inner Earth, is what I think. And so they got accosted and they were made an example of. And some samples were taken from their bodies and stuff. Okay. What's that?
I'd say real quick, who was the guy that saw the cube again? What was his name? I'm missing 411.
His name was Carl Higdon. Was his name?
Okay. You know, he had mentioned that when he saw the tube and then the cube and then the being comes out, the Andorian, I don't know what else to call him, comes out, but then he gave him some food, some pills. You remember you mentioned that, and
He said pills. Yeah, they floated like 3 or 4 pills over to him. Like they literally, he said they got thrown, but it was like slow motion. Like they went to him because he said he was hungry, and he ate those pills. Like I was thinking, well, what was he drugged? He had been drugged.
First of all, let me say, I'm sorry. I mean, he's got testicular fortitude. Some extraterrestrial force spills at me. Let me just take these real quick. No, but but you know, it reminds me of another gentleman, older gentleman, that back in the 50s, I want to say 54, 55, he was talking about this ship that had come on his property, and a being came out and gave him these wafers. And they actually, I think maybe even ancient aliens had them analyzed. It's some type of a wafer that would like be done by dehydration. Very odd. Okay. And the guy was saying, I ate that thing, and God forgive them because that's their food. It was terrible, you know, but it's, when you start going back to some of those old experiencers like that and stuff before we get so much into the modern age of technology and stuff, is really fascinating. Because to me, it sounded like it was even worse than like NASA dehydrated food, the way he's making it sound, you know?
It kind of did. Remember those, what do you call it? It was like the Neapolitan ice cream, you know, like the freeze dried ice cream. That was like the NASA stuff. That was good. I was like that when I was a kid. Felt like you're a real astronaut.
I didn't like those cherry mashes. I thought those things sucked. Didn't care for Milky Way either, or Three Musketeers. Anyway.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I remember that. He said it was like paper taste. Rocky Mountain Skywatcher. Yeah. I would have never taken those pills, y'all. Don't take pills from strangers. Remember stranger danger? That was in my data. Okay. Stranger danger. Watch out for stranger danger. Take the precautions when you guys are out in the woods, okay, especially these national parks. Take the precautions to not go pick berries, especially salmon berries, okay?
You know, that's something we didn't mention. We didn't mention that. How many people disappear with berries?
A lot of berries. Not Barry Littleton's berries like you eat, okay? Just kidding. Yes, it's berries, like they call them salmon berries up in Alaska, is where they have people. I mean, they have a lot of Bigfoot sightings around the salmonberry patches. Okay, and so it's so interesting how like Bigfoot is connected to this too somehow. Even if the Bigfoots are not taking the people, Bigfoots are in the areas where the people are being taken. So what a good bait and switch, right? It's like people are being taken. Well, they have an alibi, like whoever's doing it, because they got Bigfoots out there. And it's a mystery, but we know we see Bigfoot, so we're just going to blame it on the Bigfoots. Okay, I'm not saying that's what's happening.
Is it blueberries and mulberries? Those are the two, right?
Salmon berries. Well, yeah, I guess it's probably blackberries, blueberries and stuff. God, I would say blackberries in the wild.
I'm under my education here. I don't know what the hell a salmonberry is. I thought a salmon was a fish.
Yeah. Leave Bigfoot berries alone. Yeah, blueberries. Could be blueberries.
And so if you get a blueberry patch around granite, don't do it. That's like a major warning sign right there. Get away from the granite. Get away from the blueberries.
Stay away. Wow. If you actually, that's true. If you see an area of high, in every national park that I've been in has a large collection of like quartz veins, like veins of quartz. I notice that at almost every place that we go to do our Bigfoot stuff. So just, I'm not saying stay away from those areas, but just keep your head on a swivel. Okay, keep your head on a swivel at all times.
There was somebody that said something. I think it's gone. It said Laura is asking if I do regressions. Yes, I do. Please email me at barrylittleton1313@gmail.com. And I do it virtual also through Zoom, and I record them, and it goes really good. So please email me, definitely. Sorry, I think it was Laura was her name. It's gone now. That chat's going quick.
I'm going to, let me see, move this off. Okay, yeah, this is Barry's email. And Barry, so I guess I was going to say, you offer services too, like hypnotic regressive therapy and things like that, like regressions. In case anybody feels like, if you feel like you've had ET contact or have anything like that going on to you, y'all holler at Barry. He's really good at what he does, y'all. Okay.
Oh, thank you. It's every time I do it, no matter how many of them I do, I feel brand new each time because they're all so different. They blow me away. It's really great work, you know. So thank you for that.
You're doing great work for sure. And also, if you guys are interested in the book series that Barry got these targets from, it was inspired. The targets were inspired by this book series and the documentary movies that David Paulides has put out. He has a great YouTube channel. I think it's called Can-Am.
Yeah.
Something like that, like Can-Am. I don't know if it's like Missing 411 or Can-Am Missing, I think is what it's called. But look up David Paulides and be sure to definitely get his books. I have a book that's not on here. It's the Missing 411 North America cases, and it's really good. It actually, you start reading these cases and they're all so similar. It becomes kind of monotonous because it's like the same things are happening to all these different people. So it doesn't take very long to start seeing all the patterns. It's to like what happened when they went missing. I mean, a lot of like with the children, they're there 1 second and they're gone the next. I mean, they're standing right beside their parents and then they're just gone and they're never seen again. And when they are seen, some of them, if they're seen, they're actually like miles away up on top of a mountain somewhere. Like there's no way they could have gotten there by themselves.
Yeah, a lot of that, and and then the amount of like, well, you mentioned on there, white minds is in the data, that they're doing, and they're using that simulations and all that technology to do it, and it really makes us take another look at those people that claim to be targeted individuals, because these people that are grabbed, a lot of times, what is it? Paulides said they're of German descent. A lot of times,
German.
Yeah.
That's right.
So that's something to think about.
There's something to think about. Here's David Paulides right here. I'd love to have him on the show sometime.
Have you met him yet?
I have not met him yet. No, I have not. No, I haven't been to a conference with him there or anything yet. So it'd be cool to share some stories and swap some ideas.
I'll tell you this. I got to throw this in there. Somebody that David Paulides talks about a lot?
I don't know. Who?
Where's Bigfoot, Michigan? Tom Powell. He talks about Tom Powell all the time. He actually promotes his books. He promotes his books. I mean, that's cool. I think that's cool. And when I met Tom, he talked about David quite a bit. He said, it's a good friend of mine. He just won't say any of the woo-woo stuff. He's very scientific and all that and evidence-based. But that's pretty cool,
Okay. Before we go, I have one more story to talk about. This is important. This is also important, and I don't want to. We have to talk about this because we just have to. Because you had mentioned, I don't know. Okay, let me just go there. Okay, so a lot of people may have seen this video. Okay, it's from a Ring camera. It's from a person's front doorstep. This gentleman went missing. Okay, went missing. I don't know if they ever found him or not. But this guy, you can see him. Okay, hold on. I'm not going to play the video. I just have a couple of still shots. Okay. So here's the guy. You can see him walking out of his door. That's him standing there, like over to the right, kind of. That's him walking out of his house. And in the video, I don't know if I screenshotted this good enough. I don't know if you can see it, but you can't really see it. But over in the dark area over there, that's his front yard. The video shows him walking out of his door and getting sucked up into the air. I swear to goodness.
Send me a link to that if you could.
I'll send you a link if I can. He disappeared. That's right, Trey. He disappeared in a flash of light, and his body got sucked into the air. Okay.
Wow.
Let me tell you why this is important, in my opinion. Okay. I mean, it's important for a lot of reasons. Okay. And I believe this could be a real video. Okay, because I was tasked with a remote viewing target of a missing time incident of Texas front porch. Okay. And he actually had me remote view this. It was actually kind of front loaded because I knew that he had missing time. I just didn't know what. I just had him give me the coordinates and where it happened. And I didn't know details. Okay. I just knew that there was missing time. And I was able to like remote view it. You'd call that front loaded kind of, because I knew that it dealt with text and missing time, but I didn't know what the heck was going to happen. Right. So I took a shot at it. And I did it. And what I saw when I remote viewed this was text being taken up with a flash of light. It was like lightning struck and he was sucked into the air. Okay. And so when I see that video, that's exactly what I saw when I was remote viewing that missing time incident with him at Brown Springs, Oklahoma, which is the national park, I think. It may be federal land there too.
Again, the stasis beams I mentioned, the different types of them. And that reminds me, when I hear that, it reminds me of something that the great whistleblower that talked me to death, Corey Good. And when we were talking, besides him seeing black extraterrestrials, I wanted to know, I'm like, we're talking one-on-one. So you're the guy that was with the white draconian, right? And he told me that whole situation with how he encountered that. But he said something else. He said he'd seen another royalty reptilian of that size, and
Okay.
it was sucked up into an orb about that big that was floating. It actually contracted, the being contracted and it went up. And that those orbs are actually their craft dimensionally. And to hear that was quite interesting. But what you're describing with text is quite the same transport type of process.
Okay. I wish I had the video to show everybody, but y'all know I don't show videos on my channel usually. I like to keep it clean over here. But I can put it up. You know what I can do? I can put it on my Instagram. If you guys follow my Instagram, he shot off at an arc, and that's interesting because, well, I had arch in my data where some of these people were getting taken and stuff. It was like arch. That's not an arc, I guess, but it kind of is, right? So I don't know. Very, very interesting stuff though, and I think it's all connected. Okay, so we're connecting dots. We're looking for patterns. We got the data. Now I don't know what to do with all this other than to keep your head on a swivel, y'all. Okay, keep your head on a swivel. There's something going on there. Nobody's going to tell us the truth about any of this stuff. Okay, nobody's ever going to tell us. We have to try to dig for it ourselves, and so that's what we're doing tonight. Okay.
Good question.
And yes, me and Barry love our lives, right, Barry? This is all for entertainment purposes only.
Gosh, slide this in. Corey Cole, do they fear our power of our imagination? I would say to a degree, but I can't say this. Some of them fear our power of intent of will. We really learn how to create a creative visualization and really intend our power of will. And our intent of will, some of them fear that definitely because it can damage them, can hurt them, intend them away, intend them out of existence, things like that. That's especially if they're beings dealing with us consciously. So I would say yes to that. That's a great question. Great question.
Oh yeah. Oh, Corey also says that he lives. Brown Springs is on the Oklahoma. It's like right there near Texas too. It's like on the Texas-Oklahoma border. He says that Oklahoma Red River. It's about 75 miles directly east of his house. He lives on the Oklahoma Red River. That's really cool.
Yeah, that town keeps coming up the last few days. Brown Springs. I keep
Brown Springs.
I've
talked about it. Well, I'm the one that brought it up today. I told you that because I had mentioned that before when we talked this afternoon. You and I talked on the phone, and I was telling you about. I was making the connection to Texas missing time incident, and I actually in that we did a show on it actually. It's on in my remote viewing playlist. If you guys want to go watch that, it's missing time in Brown Springs. Okay, and he had somebody with him. This D guy, I don't know D, okay, but I think D was with him and was his research partner at the time. And what I saw was Tex got sucked up into the sky in a flash of light, and then his buddy got scared and ran, but they got him too. Eventually, they got him too. According to the remote viewing data, that's what I was experiencing. And so when they got him up there, they were actually working on him in a craft. Okay. And what they were doing, they were giving him upgrades. Upgrades is what I got. They were doing something to give him upgrades. Whether it was his clair senses, I think it was clair senses or something. I don't know. They're giving upgrades. They were maybe they put him in a med bed or something. I don't know. But that happened. And it was crazy because while we were doing that show, there were people in the live chat that were saying, oh yeah, we know what you're talking about, because his buddy had his camera phone, his video going, and apparently he dropped his phone and all you could see is him running towards the woods or something. And he said that he doesn't remember taking that video. Is what they were saying, is he didn't remember taking that video, but it describes exactly what my remote viewing data was saying. It was Blair Witch style stuff was going on. And it was terrifying for whoever was involved. But the guy had found a video on his phone. He didn't, from what I remember, it was he didn't remember how that video got on his phone. He doesn't remember dropping his phone and running.
And who's this guy? What guy? Who?
I don't know. I don't know him. So I don't know. His name's D.
You said Texas was with somebody, right?
Yeah, it was his buddy, his research partner.
What was his name?
Yeah.
I could have sworn I heard you say. Could have sworn I heard you say DDoS. I could have sworn that's what I heard you say.
I don't know him, so I don't know.
I don't know him either, but I followed him before whatever beset him or whatever. But that brother is the first person I had heard mention seeing Sasquatch do a spider crawl. That sent me into a deep dive on that. And also mentioning having Sasquatch standing like trees in a line, the males watching for like not moving for hours and hours. I'd heard that before too. And so a couple of things he said was just interesting, I thought, but it is what it is.
Yeah, I don't know him. I have no idea, but hey, he was in that remote viewing target apparently, and I don't think anybody ever said his name, but I know his name is D. That's all I know.
And you said that was he abducted too, also?
Yeah, according to the data, he was. I don't know if he knows he was or not, but I don't know. We'll see. I don't know. That was in the data. So, anyways, it was interesting, and like I said, I mean, I don't know if Brown Springs is like federal land or a national park. I'm not sure. Maybe Corey knows that's in here. I don't know.
Did you mention something about that being like Capone type of deal?
Well, actually, if you look up Brown Springs on Google, if you Google it, the first thing that comes up, it says Brown Springs is known for the body dumping. That's what it says. Okay. I mean, it's not a place I would want to go research. I would not personally ever want to research. Honestly, I wouldn't care to ever research that place. It was known for, they had pigs there. And it was said that like the mob or somebody, some kind of like organized crime syndicate would go take bodies there and let the pigs, do whatever pigs do. I don't know.
I'd heard that before, and they say that because of that pig farm, that there was something that Capone used to go on these walks by himself, and people would follow him. And he walked into like a chicken coop or something, and there was a Sasquatch in there, and they shot it. They were stealing his chickens. There's a story about that. Capone and Bigfoot. People look into that. I don't know if it's true, but I've heard that before. And it has something to do with the pig farm where people were being killed at or something. I swear I've heard that. Somebody knows more about it than me in that chat, I guarantee you.
I know, right? Oh my gosh. I guess, I mean, I know it feels like, I feel personally like some of the stuff that I'm talking about is kind of coming out of left field tonight, but it's just because it's connected. Okay. And I can make these connections with the different targets that I've done and the different experiences that people have told me about and things that I've experienced and Barry, you've experienced. And so it's all melding together here with this. Okay. Because a lot of missing time incidents is, it's people are being taken. Okay. That was the conclusion after that target of that missing time incident. He was taken. Okay, he was taken. He was brought back. Okay, he was brought back at some point, but he couldn't remember. They were missing like 45 minutes to hours. It was like hours they were missing, to where his partner missed picking up his kids from school at the bus stop that day. He couldn't figure out where the day had gone by the time they finally got back to their vehicles. Okay,
I should have brought up that pissing thing, man. The urination. That's like taking over. A lot of people talk about urine on here. Geez, sorry.
Oh, yeah. No, we're past that. We're past that now. We're past that. I know, that was fun.
Sorry, I'm only at 9:03. So, but there's so many interesting comments that are so intuitive. It's really cool.
Oh, there we go. It was that's what Corey said. I'm not gonna say that out loud, but yeah. In Texas or. Thank you, Robin. Yes, our shows are riveting these days. They really are. These shows actually are. Like, I love these shows. Okay, like I love them. I think that I think it was really important that like we didn't censor the data tonight. Like, not that I ever censor the data, but like sometimes I just don't give it all away because I do like the meat and potatoes of it, and I save the rest for like the Patreon members and stuff. But this is such an important piece of a puzzle that we're missing as a as a human race here, as American citizens here, okay, we need to know what this is. And I think that everyone who's watching and everyone who's listening deserves to know everything. Whatever I have is yours. Okay. We put it all on the table. It's for entertainment purposes only. It's just remote viewing data. But what if some of it's real? What if this is real? What if it's right? You know, it could be all wrong. Okay, it could be, but I don't think it is. I don't think it is. There's just too many connections, Barry. Too many connections. So
Another one. Triangulum. Triangulum galaxy is, you've got Andromedan, you've got Milky Way, and you've got Triangulum. They're all will come together one day. And if you go back and watch Star Trek, one of the original Next Generations, it's called To Boldly Go Where No One Has Gone Before. And in that one, they go, the traveler takes them outside kind of the space-time continuum to where thought and energy is merging. And they say that that is just outside the Triangulum galaxy. Only time I heard it mentioned in Star Trek, but just somebody mentioned or asked what Triangulum was. That's the galaxy where the tall, giant melanin dominants came from that were past cycle here. And a lot of times when you look at some of the things that they think is depicting Sirius, it's actually depicting the Triangulum galaxy. So similarities there.
awesome. Awesome. Oh my gosh. Well, all right. Well, this has been just a fantastic show tonight. And we're not going to keep y'all here for another 30 minutes. This is a 2.5-hour show. This is actually broke our record tonight, Barry. This is the longest show that we have done, I think. Okay.
Well,
So,
I appreciate you doing it. Thank you.
A couple of minutes.
It was important. Yeah. I appreciate all the people in the chat. Nobody booed me or threw any onions at me. Thank you. So thank you for doing this. And I think this was really important. And I think we covered the meat and potatoes of it and all the data. So thank you for doing that. Because I know I was kind of being a little pressing, say, do it again, you know, but there's a reason, just so that way we get a full scope of it. And I think you did that. So great job again. Great job.
Thank you. Thank you. Well, it doing targets like this, it really did. Like I made a video after the first time I hit the targets. I think I did a members only video for my exclusive hunt club, you know, and you guys can join that too. It's on my, you just go hit the join button on my YouTube channel. But I was drained. I was so tired. I was exhausted. And I was like, I don't know what this target is, but it must be good because I'm exhausted from it. And I think that we went pretty hard on this one. Okay. And I think we did a good job on it. So thank you, Barry. I think that we all deserve to know what's going on.
Man, seeing so many nice comments in there. Thank you all. Thank you all. Very cool.
Awesome.
Great people. Great people.
Yeah, awesome. Well, tell everybody where they can find you, Barry. I know we put your email address up there a while ago.
Oh, yeah.
Where can people find your shows and your videos?
I'm on YouTube. Got a lot of stuff on YouTube under Barry Littleton. If you decide to check it out, please check out the playlist. I'm on Patreon under Barry Littleton. I'm on Facebook, Barry Littleton. My website is barrylittleton.com. I don't do much there. I need to upgrade it, but there's some links there and stuff. If you want to email me for services, I do hypnotic regressions, extraterrestrial regressions, past life regressions, earthbound spirit release, generational curse releasing, trauma release, things like that. So hit me up at barrylittleton13@gmail.com.
Yeah, and like I said, Barry is amazing at what he does, y'all. So definitely hit up Barry for sure. Show Barry some love, everybody. This has been awesome. And you guys, please come back and hang out with me again. I have Harley Owens coming on Saturday night. Harley is a Bigfoot and Dogman researcher, actually out of Tennessee, East Tennessee. One of my favorite places when it comes to cryptids and the Dogman reports and stuff. And yeah, thank you, Kathleen. Thank you so much for that super sticker. I appreciate that very much. But I have Harley Owens coming on Saturday night on The Hunt. Okay, so that's going to be a really fantastic show. And then Sunday, I'm going to be at Spaced Out Radio with Merle. Everybody knows Merle. The Spaced Out Radio, I did some ghost hunting with him up in Virginia City at Reno near, oh wait, what we were showing these, Nevada here. Okay, y'all know Nevada, that's near Tahoe. Okay, where those clusters are there. Well, he actually went and spent the night after we did our ghost hunt in Virginia City. He spent like 2 nights in a haunted, very haunted cabin by himself in an old mine where the largest mining disaster with the highest number of casualties happened. And they put all the corpses in the front yard of this cabin when it happened. And he did like a 2-night stint there, and we're going to talk about it. It was wild. Okay, so please come join me at Space Talk Radio on Sunday. Okay, 10 p.m. Eastern. What's up, Barry?
The conference.
Oh, and the conference. We got conferences coming up, y'all.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right. I didn't even talk about that in the beginning. Let's pull this up. Barry and I are both going to be at which one comes first? The Disclosure Now, Full Disclosure Now conference. Okay, in Florida. So this is y'all come see us down in Florida. We're going to be at St. Pete Beach, July the 15th through the 18th. Barry and I will both be speaking and presenting together, Barry, right? We're going to do a presentation together. We're going to do it separate and together on our remote viewing data. We'll probably talk about this one tonight. I'm sure we will. We'll talk about the missing persons one. But we have a lot to do with that. So that's going to be fun. And then we also have the Appalachia Starseed Conference. That's coming up. Yeah. That's actually the Appalachia Starseed reunion, August 1st through 4th. So y'all please come to that. In addition to that, I'm going to be at the World UFO Conference in a couple weeks down up in Clayton, Georgia. And also, speaking of East Tennessee, I'll be at a Squatch Out with Manimal Research and a bunch of BFRO folks and stuff, and people that aren't BFRO too. We're going to be camping there. If you guys want to go, there may be like one more tent site available. So it kind of got filled up quick. Okay. I don't do public Bigfooting events ever like that, like where I go camping with like people that aren't my team. So this is going to be fun. It'll be a lot of fun. So we're going to be up in East Tennessee where all the wildness goes down. Y'all come see me. Okay. Well, Barry, anything else before we go tonight?
No, I've been looking at the comments. They're so interesting. I'm still only at 917. I mean, they're just killing it. Intelligent people, great attitudes. That's great. It's just been a pleasure. You know what I mean? I thought it was really important. I knew it was, and it was good. I think it was good. Good information, and no one's done this before, and it's important. And now you get all these people who will probably bite you and steal.
Oh, stop it.
It happens in this community. You know that.
Oh my God.
Look at you, got so nervous you dropped the camera. You see? Okay. The people are incredible in this chat. I can't believe it. Oh, I think I'm off. Am I still on or am I off? Can anybody still hear me? I don't think so. Somebody asked about the chicken coop joke. The thing is, okay, why do chicken coops have only 2 doors? Could you still hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Oh, I didn't think anybody could hear me. I can't believe I was saying it. Oh, damn.
Oh, my God. My camera's upside down.
Chicken coops only have 2 doors. They wanted me to tell. It came up several times. I can't believe anybody remembers that joke. Oh. Anyway, okay. Why do chicken coops only have 2 doors? It's because if they had 4, they'd be called chicken sedans.
Okay.
It's a terrible joke, but it is.
Oh my God. Oh my God. I just dropped my camera, y'all. The camera went fine, and I had to turn that off because otherwise y'all would have seen my legs. Okay, so I just was like, I may have on. No, I don't have on pajamas today. So, but anyways, it wouldn't have been appropriate. So that's why I just turned the camera off. So sorry about that, y'all. But that's a good joke. You and your chicken coop joke. That's always funny. I've heard it before.
I can't believe somebody wanted me to say it. Oh my goodness. That's almost as bad as the blonde joke I had. You remember that one?
Let's don't do jokes. It may be bad. Is it bad? Is that bad? I don't know. Maybe we shouldn't end in a joke.
How did the blonde try to kill the bird?
Oh no, Barry. I don't know.
Threw it off a cliff. Sorry.
Okay. Okay.
Hey, it's not my joke. It's like Red Skelton or something. I don't know.
Oh my gosh. Okay. I don't even get it, but okay. Oh my gosh. Well, y'all, this has been a fantastic night. This has been awesome. We ended it in some Barry jokes. Some that's pretty awesome. I
You
know.
cut
We're
that out.
literally talking about
You can cut that. When you download that, cut that out, would you? Cut the jokes at the end. Like,
We're
cut short,
live.
man.
We're live. We can't cut them. We're screwed. I'm just kidding. But anyways, y'all, please, if you're interested in reading the David Paulides Missing 411 series, though, please go check him out. Go subscribe to his YouTube channel. David Paulides, I think it's Can-Am Missing, okay, is what I think that's called, on his YouTube channel. So y'all please go do that. Support David Paulides. He's doing great work, and support Barry. And also, thank you, Poncho. That's so sweet. Got sidetracked. Sorry, I've missed so much. Well, you can go back. You got 2.5 hours. You can go back and watch right now as soon as we cut the show tonight. And so thank you so much. Thank you to everybody for all the support tonight, for all the super stickers, for everybody who's a member of my channel, for all my Patreon members. All this data is in my Patreon. So if you guys want to go see all the data and review all of it, it is there for my Patreon members. Okay, so so thank you guys so much for all the support and for all the love. Okay, Barry. Well, Barry, thank you so much for these amazing targets. I hope it helped. I hope it helped everybody who's watching, and I hope it helps the right people. Okay, and maybe it gave some answers tonight. Okay.
Well, thank you for doing it, for working with me again, and thank you everybody in chat. And this was a wonderful night. I really appreciate it. Thank you.
It was awesome. All right, everybody. Well, y'all have a great night. Keep your head on a swivel. Stay safe out there. Watch your back, okay, when you're in the woods, but don't live in fear. Okay, don't ever live in fear. And I love you guys. I'm sending all my love and light out to everybody tonight, and I will see y'all Saturday night. Have a good night, Barry. Bye, y'all.